Like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillar. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make this happen. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead and hit that like button, because you already know what time it is, and you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've even seen people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content now. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, we are back for another edition. It's going to be a great edition of the Roger Report Live. We're going to deal with some real stuff again, y'all. It's going to be a very interesting show. We are going to dive into intersectionality, y'all. We're going to dive into intersectionality, and we're going to look at the breakdown of the hatred of black men. Okay, the breakdown of the hatred of black men. All right, now, before we go too far into this, first of all, I want to say shout out to all my people who give me views on a regular basis, because y'all make up the fam around here. Appreciate y'all big time. Appreciate y'all big time. Also, shout out to all the people who hit that hype button every chance they get. Now, I know you can only hype so much, but every time you hype me up, you know, you're definitely doing the right thing for the world, and I appreciate it big time. I appreciate it big time. Shout out to all the people who leave comments after the stream. You know, of course, this all helps with the algorithm, helps the channel grow. And shout out to everybody who hits that like button. And remember, y'all, there's never a bad time to do any of those things, regardless of when you saw the stream, how long ago it happened, or if you catch it live. Do it as soon as you can. It just helps. It just helps. You know, you're helping the world at that particular point. And shout out to the people who go above and beyond the call to duty to become financial contributors over here at the Roger Report Live, because each and every one of you are appreciated. I've said time and time again, you know, all money on the wood is good, at the Roger Report Live. Okay, all money on the wood is good at the Roger Report Live. And today I'm going to give a special shout out to Big Discussion 76. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Shout out to Big Discussion 76. He's the sponsor of today's stream. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, my brother. And that's big time. I do mean that. So shout out to you. Shout out to you. And y'all know how it goes. We go to find who is going to be, y'all. Who is going to be. And I got to say, shout out to 79 Cali Hakate, because I'm going to say this is the first time, at least in my memory, that you done came through and got you a Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. You are the Highlander of today's stream. Y'all, if y'all ain't got a Highlander, you're messing around. You got to get you some. You got to get you some. So shout out to 79 Cali Hakate, your first time that I can remember of being Highlander of today's stream. But welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Shout out to LS Active. Great to see you, brother. Great to see you. We got Trail Bentley representing as always. Hashtag long live habitual line steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the wilderness. Hashtag Al Gore's babies. Hashtag Hell Hydra. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. We got Shark Sims in the house. What's good, my brother? What's good? Floyd Thompson has pulled up to the cool table. Yay, yay. The Knight's Palace is here. Great to see you. Great to see you. Okay. We got we got Tunnel Runner in the house. Glad to have you, brother. Glad to have you. The Great Black Reset is in the building. Great to see you. Boot Camp done pulled up to the cool table. Glad to have you. Last Zulu just ran up at the head of the table, y'all. He pushing to get to the head of the table. Well, we glad to see you, brother. We glad to see you. Shout out to Jerome Payne. Glad to have you, brother. Glad to have you. Red Lord Black Sigma is in the house. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. Music Man 1982. What's going on, my brother? What's going on? Aja Bay is in the house. Great to see you. Dr. Dizzle is in the building. Bronx, what's good, my brother? What's good? Afro Merchant, great to see you. Great to see you. Nice Sometimes is also in the building, y'all. We about to have a great show. Y'all, we gonna deal with this intersectionality, okay? Where you can just make words up and make them stick, you know, while being oppressed at the same time. You You can make the words up and make them stick while being oppressed at the same time. No, but real talk though, real talk. Okay, now this wouldn't be the first person to make up a word that kind of stuck in society. Okay, but intersectionality, a term. Okay, a very useful term in a lot of ways. Depends on who you are and what you're trying to use the term for. Okay, but there's a thing going on also with intersectionality as well. Does the term make sense and is it real? Because you'll have people that argue that it's real. Now, I'll put a few links in the description, y'all. First of all, okay, I don't know who the brother is. I'm assuming he's a football player based on how people was playing with the clips. That may very well be possible. Maybe he was an NFL guy. I don't know who the brother is. I don't even know what the 75-day challenge is. Based on how the clip was made, I'm going to assume it's some type of workout challenge. But what I am going to say is shout out to that brother for doing the 75-day challenge. Why? Because it's a challenge of some actual work. Okay, that's what I'm picking up from. Now, there's a lot of people on social media that call nonsense challenges as if you have to challenge yourself to do it. Now, we heard what he said that his daughter even said to him. So he's talking about a challenge with some actual work involved. So shout out to that brother for completing the 75-day challenge. Shout out to his friend for helping him complete the 75-day challenge. And I'm going to say shout out to anybody out there who's ever done the 75-day challenge. Now, I don't know what the challenge is, but I assume it's something very positive. And y'all, I said I'm going to try to make sure I start putting some clips in about all these positive things that Black men do on a regular basis. So I wanted to stick something in there real quick before we had to deal with this other stuff. So shout out to that brother for doing the 75-day challenge, and shout out to him for leading his family down a better, healthy lifestyle. You know, that's a great thing at the end of the day. Okay, so shout out to him, shout out to him. Now, let's deal with this intersectionality, y'all. Now, again, I put some clips in the description just so y'all can get an idea of something that's going on. And I didn't just throw any random clips in there, too. I actually gave you a couple clips from the person who created the whole intersectionality thing in the first place. Okay? Now, depending upon how she's speaking at the moment, you can say she created this for positive reasons to help women who don't get, quote unquote, a light shined on them the way she believed they should get a light shined on them. Now, you also could say she uses this to really kind of push down or get attention away from Black men who's going through very terrible situations. All right. Now, I'm going to say this, y'all. As Black men, as a collective, let's be realistic. It's not like we don't want Black women to get any kind of shine that they supposed to get. All right. The only thing I find questionable is using something supposedly to help Black women to also be anti-Black men with. Now, the woman who created it, she's a smart woman, educated woman. She knows what she's doing, a very well-studied woman. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows exactly what information will be put out there. And you know how people are going to accept information for a certain standpoint. You're always going to have the crazies, okay? Yeah, there's always going to be a small percentage of crazies that just don't get anything for real. But you're going to have, a base set of how people are going to take in this information. All right? Now, I let y'all hear it from the horse's mouth. But I also put a clip in there with a young lady. And she's talking about intersectionality. She said, hey, you get a plus for being a man. You get a plus for being white. Okay? Then you get all these negatives because you're a Black woman. Now, this is the thing. That's how people going to see it. She's just an example of a person, how she saw it. All right? So, she's using this to say Black men have a plus in society. Now, I'm just going to say she wrong. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Maybe she means well, y'all. Maybe. You want to give a benefit of the doubt, knock yourself out. Maybe she means well. All right? Maybe she means well. Or maybe intersectionality itself don't actually work exactly the way people say it should work, because crossing different things does not necessarily mean somebody would be further damaged or necessarily get further ahead. Why? Because Black men and intersectionality do not seem to coincide as how it's supposed to be represented. If you are a Black man in American society, okay, you are Black. So people do know racism does exist. Yeah, that's true. People know that. They do a lot of things, to either deny racism exists, or some people say, yeah, racism does exist, and they'll accept it. But, enough people know that you got to at least deny it or you should accept it. So people know it exists. Now, when it comes to being male or female, okay, what gets you ahead? Now, they would like to say being a double minority as being Black and a woman is going to have, somehow is going to oppress you far more than a man who also happens to be Black. Because the theory says because you are a man, you're supposed to have an advantage. Now, I'm not going to say intersectionality with this horrible idea that a person came up with. But if we're going to push this throughout a society, we need to make sure corrections are known. Intersectionality does not work when you bring up Black men, because Black men are men. Now, women will argue that men have an advantage. Now, I'm going to say, realistically speaking, is not even always what's on paper. It's about how people push policies. And I'm smart enough to know that. And I'm pretty sure she's smart enough to know that. Because if we look at what's on paper, women are superior to men. Let's keep that real, y'all. If we look at what's on paper, women are superior to men. See, when you live in America, a country that says that, you're supposed to be able to be your own person, do what you want to do, accomplish what you can accomplish, as long as you're not harming somebody else or damaging their property, you pretty much good to go. That's what America says. All right. Now we all gonna have to deal with certain battles. And I'm not gonna act like that doesn't happen. But now when you talk about intersectionality, why we just can't be honest? Now it may work in a lot of different ways. The term might actually work in a lot of different ways. Because I'm gonna say this. If you are a white man in America, the country has never gone up against you because you were a white man. That is a reality. All right. If you're a white man, you've come to this country, been able to secure land and money because you were a white man. Now, women got certain things a little bit later than men got. That's a very true thing. All right. Now, let's keep it real. When voting was an issue, where they talked about giving black men votes, people said, hey, now hold on. You ain't finna give no nigga a right to vote. And I, as a white woman, don't have a right to vote. That's what happened. You're not finna give a nigga a right to vote. And I ain't got no right to vote. That don't work. That don't work. See, this is evidence that the country comes up against black men. That's why intersectionality don't actually work the way they present it. It just don't. Because black men destroy the whole theory. Now, y'all, this is the thing. Am I against people saying, hey, intersectionality? No, I mean, you can say it and you can talk what you want to, but we need to be accurate with it. Once you include black men into your intersectionality theory, the whole theory just falls apart. Because they will come against black men no matter what the scenario is. All right. Now, maybe people did it for certain reasons. Shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast. He said, women are the majority, not a minority. You know what? Inspired Truth Broadcast, that's what you get when you start counting. When you start counting, you start coming up with, it's more women than men. Ain't that interesting? Ain't that interesting? Okay. Now, what have we seen in this country? If you are a man, does the country come against you? Let's be realistic. I don't remember the war that they fought to be able to oppress white men. I don't remember that war. Okay? Y'all got to tell me what it is because I'm just unfamiliar. I'm unfamiliar. Now, immigrants have come into America over time. Okay? We're talking about legal immigrants, not illegals, y'all. We're talking about legal immigrants. All right? So now you have legal immigrants that have come in over time. They did the paperwork. They did what they were supposed to do at the time they came over. I know some people may say, well, people came over, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, whatever. Everything wasn't the same way it is now. Whenever they got here, they did what they were supposed to do to be here as a legal immigrant. Okay? Now, some of them came over because they was giving out money, giving out land, giving out all types of little trinkets. So people came over. They got what they got. It is what it is. I don't remember the war to stop no white man from getting something. I don't remember a war to stop no white woman from getting something either. That's real talk. Now, when it came to stopping a black man from getting something, and you can say the women too, because we were slaves together. See, there was a time we was together. Things broke down. White people did not want to go to war, they did not have on a war that was going to end slavery. People gotta, a lot of people tell you America went to war because they didn't. No, the Union could not get together. The Confederacy was on his own thing, elected his own president, started making his own money. They was doing their own thing. They just could not keep the Union together and keep slavery at the same time. So because groups of white men could not accept certain terms, they had to fight. But they had to get rid of slavery in order to keep the Union. Okay? Is what it is. Now, you have folks who literally was fighting because they wanted niggas enslaved. All right, so yeah, they had a war to make sure we not good. Now, that's a long time ago. You can say relatively, depending upon who you are. So now you got this intersectionality thing that somebody brought to the table. We look at intersectionality. All right, now they say women are discriminated against. Now I'm gonna say, where? That's what I'm gonna say. People will say, well, women are discriminated against. I hear you. I'm simply gonna ask where. What have women ever wanted in the United States of America that people didn't do stuff to get it to them? Okay? Now, this is the thing, y'all. Did America start off a perfect country? Obviously it didn't, because it had slavery. All right? There was certain understandings people had at the time. Now, you could say those were understandings of the time. You could say they just weren't fair, whatever you want to say. Because it don't really make no difference to me, okay? Don't really make no difference to me. But when have women asked for something in America and it was denied? Because I do hear a lot about women were discriminated against. I hear that a lot. Okay? And I just be wondering, where did this discrimination exist? And it was a time where women couldn't do this and women couldn't do that. Okay, but when did women ask for it? When women asked for it, did they get it? Yeah. Can anybody tell me anything that women have been denied? Now I'm just a guy. I got some questions. Couple questions here and there. Okay. Couple questions here and there. All right. But the thing is, I ain't trying to start no trouble, y'all. I'm just asking simple things. What did women want that they were denied? Now people would say, well, women worked at home. I mean, women kind of wanted to work at home. When women decided they didn't want to work at home anymore, what did they do? They got jobs. All right. Ain't that what happened? Or was that a mischaracterization of history? All right. See, when I look at things from a historical standpoint, I don't remember women fighting to get jobs. I don't remember that fight. Do y'all know about that fight? Because I don't remember that fight. When I look into it, what I remember was black women were working already. That was happening. White women was chilling at the crib. Then America, got itself involved and America stayed at war, y'all. They pretty much stayed at war. America got itself a little stretched too thin on the war side. And then they asked women to start going to work. And then women started going to work. And then when the men came home, the women said, we want to keep working. And they kept working. I don't remember the great stoppage, y'all. I do not remember the great stoppage. I know. Y'all, what's the great stoppage? The great stoppage is when men came home from war and women just started losing jobs left and right so men could have their jobs back. Do y'all remember the great stoppage? Because I don't remember the great stoppage. I've never read about the great stoppage. You know, I've never seen the history book refer to the great stoppage. I didn't even hear a person talk about the great stoppage. All right. I don't remember where women was ever put out of a job because of what men was doing. Okay. And I'm going to say before this happened, I don't remember women asking to work. They was at the crib chilling and they was cool with it. All right. Now, if y'all know something I don't know, cool. Maybe you know about some woman in 1720 that was fighting to work outside the home and people stopped her. You would have to inform me about her because I don't remember the story from 1720 where it was a woman who wanted to be a candlestick maker. You know, but for whatever reason, you know, the guys of that time said, no, you can't make no candles. We're not gonna let you make no candles. We ain't gonna let you sell no candles. You're a woman. If that happened, let me know. Cause I didn't hear it. I didn't hear about it. Okay, I didn't hear about it. And I see you backstage. I'm gonna bring you up shortly. This is the thing, y'all. So now you got all these years later, you have a term intersectionality that's been formed to say, hey, we got to think about all these different factors of someone's identity of who they are so we can consider what's been actually happening to them. Okay, well, let's think about that. I'm a man. I live in America and I get discriminated against because I'm black. Now, a woman can claim discrimination, but I'm going to say I don't really see how women are being discriminated unless it's in the context of their attachment to a black man. That's what I'm going to say. Now, you can call me ignorant, but I have asked women directly, how are you discriminated against? Where can I go get something that they ain't going to give you? And it's amazing to me that no matter how many times I've talked to women who claim they not feminists or women who claim they are, they can't never tell me the answers to simple questions about how women are being oppressed in a way that me as a black man is not being oppressed. And they say stuff, well, you a man, you don't, you know what I'm saying? You a man, so it's different for you. And I say, okay, well, what's the thing I get because I'm a man? What is the thing? Or the several things? Because I am a black man. You said men are a higher level because they're not women. That's what you said. I didn't even say it. You said it. So what do I get? Because I'm a man. Okay, you want to focus on the fact that I'm a man. Well, I am a man. So what do I get? Now, so far, no woman has been able to tell me what I get because I'm a man. Now, when they present the information, they say, well, you know, you gotta, the blackness is one thing, but the gender is another thing. Okay, see, the male female thing is there. Oh, all right, okay, cool. So women get jobs because they're a double minority. What do I get? See, you black and you a woman. You get a job because you're a double minority. So I'm left in the cold. How'd that help me? How did that help me? I don't get it. Okay, I don't get it. All right. All right. And my thing is, what's this whole thing about trying to make it black man versus black woman? What the heck is all that about? If it's about intersectionality and people getting discriminated against based on certain reasons, now there's a lot of other people who latched on to intersectionality to throw in other stuff. People threw in gay, you know, people threw in disabilities, you know, just whatever they could come up with to say we're getting discriminated against too. Now, you saw in a clip that a woman was interviewing this lady who came up with the term intersectionality or made it popular. And I heard her say, and I'm gonna say this, y'all. Y'all not gonna say this, but I'm gonna say this. Okay. I heard her say something about being a Jew. And that, because I'm a Jewish woman. And I sat there and thought to myself, y'all, in an American context, who is discriminating against Jews? I ain't never heard of that one now. I'm just going to say, I'm going to keep it real. I ain't never heard of that one. I'm not saying any people can't be discriminated against, but who crazy enough to discriminate against Jews? The Jews was all up in Kyrie Irving grill for what he retweeted a movie. They was all in his grill because he retweeted them. Who about to discriminate against it? Who got the nerve in an American in the United States of America? Who got the nerve to say I'm discriminating against them because they Jewish? I want to see that one. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Who bold enough to do that? Who bold enough to do that? That's about crazy. Okay, these industries they got on lock. The power that they got, who about to say that? Okay. Now, if you say, I don't know, maybe years and years ago, I don't ever remember reading anything in American history to say they were, well, no, I guess if you want to be technical, you can always find something against any group of people, but to say I'm a Jewish woman, who not finna give you a job and you a Jewish woman? Crazy work. That's all I'm gonna say. Crazy work. I just, all right, it is what it is, y'all. People can believe whatever they want to believe, though. You got a right to believe whatever you want to believe. I will give you that credit. Shout out to Kanguru. He says that maybe white Jews discriminate against black Jews. Par for the course. Well, I don't know if that's what she meant because she clearly was white. I'm gonna say that. She clearly wasn't black. So so I mean, and then if they doing it to each other, that's an inside thing. So it's not about Jewish. See, you know what I'm saying? The fact that you say it could be a white Jew discriminating against a black Jew is automatically a non-Jewish issue. You could say it's a color issue, but it's automatically a non-Jewish issue at that point. So again, I'm gonna say who crazy enough to discriminate against a Jew? Now, maybe it's going on in some other part of the world and I'm not familiar with it. But in America, who about to do that? But at the end of the day, y'all, it is what it is. I'm going to say shout out to all my people who do listen from around the world because I love and appreciate y'all too. Don't ever want y'all to think y'all left out. But we do have a guest up, so I'm going to go ahead and let him get the mic. I'm going to bring up Tunnel Runner. Tunnel Runner, what's happening, my brother? You have the flow. What would you like to say on this particular topic?
I think, sir. I think that these women maybe they have a sight problem. Maybe they think that black men are 6'7" trust fund babies that have that got blonde hair and blue eyes, and because those are the ones that they might be thinking about when you're talking about being suppressed. Anybody else, I think they got a vision problem. Because I think that's what they see when they look at us. They see something else that's not really there.
Well, I'm gonna say this is a heck of a term people are using because, and I'm gonna say, y'all, the term itself brings about injustice because it definitely glosses past and give credit to people doing stuff that they're not doing. Because if you're saying you're treating black men as men and you're not doing that, then you're giving people credit for something they didn't do. And in this particular country, America is literally designed to be anti-black man. Now, I'm not going to say nothing happens to a woman here or there because if she's in too close proximity to a black man, stuff will happen. But the country is literally built on discriminating against black men, which means intersectionality, the way it's presented, don't actually hold any weight. Black men are the reason it becomes a nonsense term. Okay. Now, I'm not saying we can't look at different things or different reasons someone's discriminated against. Do I believe someone with a disability could be discriminated against? Yeah, I believe that one. I believe a company that would have to spend more money to accommodate somebody with a disability, yeah, they're probably just, well, you know, we can hire somebody else who's able-bodied versus someone who's disabled. They're probably going that direction for money reasons. I could see that. That makes sense to me. I can figure that out because, you know, it goes into dollars. But for someone to present that we're going to discriminate against anyone the way we're going to discriminate against a black man, that's nonsense. Okay, that just is what it is. When the country is literally set up to be anti-black men. Now I'm gonna read this from Black Rule, then I'm gonna let Creator get in. Black Rule says, and appreciate it, Black Rule. He says, be careful about specifically you talk about those folks, Roger. Those people are very picky, hold grudges, and they don't fight fair. Well, that's why, you know what, Black Rule, I do understand that. And that's why I say I'm going to say something, and ain't nobody else going to say something about them. Everybody else going to leave them alone. But, you know, what I said, and the only thing I am saying is, who crazy enough to discriminate against them? Who going to come out and discriminate against them? Because that's going to take a lot of balls at this point. That's going to take a lot of balls. So, you know, it is what it is on that note. Creator, you got the flow, my brother. Go right ahead.
Brother, what kind of sandwich is that? Yeah, we get the butt end of every stick. That's why, you know, I always equate it to Superman, right? And Superman being married. And even though he's Superman, right, he got to go out. He done saved the universe, not just the world. We just saving the universe. Come home, and he is not like, he take his cape off, and for whatever reason, she just don't see him as Superman. And he love her so much that I don't know, for whatever reason, he just lets it be. Like and this is how I equate what's going on with the black man. We like Superman. We literally have to save everybody, save everything, save ourselves, while the whole world got their boot on your neck, right? And then there's these divisional clubs, if you will. And now our women, for whatever reason, has taken part of these divisive clubs, meaning we got men against women, right? So now we got that club. We got divestors. We got that club. We have all kind of these different clubs. And then I'm just talking about our women. I ain't even talking about the world. But we have all these different little systems that now we have to they're trying to force us to capitulate to all these emotional needs. And I think that's just what it is. It's just really challenging to just be who you are and just be Superman. And instead of people fighting you, I would think they would want to appreciate you and celebrate you, especially if you're supposed to be as great as you say you are. Then that means you make those around you greater. So wouldn't that mean if you're a black woman and you make things greater, I would deduce or reduce or come to the conclusion that you should be around your men. And if they so bad, then why ain't you making them greater? What system is making the black man greater? What deliberate system is coming out to say, hey, you know what? These men are great. I do see the value in you. Hey, let me make it better. No, it's just excuses on why they cannot step up to our level, right? And even make that situation greater. I don't know. I may have been a little chaotic in there, but hey, I'm trying to make a point that cooperation is better than fighting. And I'm just talking about our women and those women that who's supposed to be for you. You shouldn't be local. You shouldn't be visually telling anybody, have any disdain for your man. And I say that liberally, meaning your black man. You have black daddies, you have black fathers, and to look at the black man to hold this perfect, I guess, way of life when we being You know what I'm saying? This is crazy to me. But go ahead, brother.
Okay. I was say, create 2 minutes getting rather long. That 2 minutes getting rather long.
You know, I'm in God's time. Now, go ahead, brother.
All right. Shout out to Snobby Brother, y'all. Shout out to Snobby Brother. He sends up a very special super chat. Okay. I don't know what's going on in the chat, but I'm going to say he sends up a very special super chat, and I do appreciate the super chat. He says, thank you for elevating Black queer voices. Afro Merchant. I don't know what's going on, bro. You need to tell me something? You need to tell me something. Let me know, brother. It's all good, brother. Let me know whatever you need to let me know. But shout out to Snobby Brother for the super chat, okay? Let's give it to the Great Black Reset. You got it, my brother. You got it.
What's happening, fellas? What's happening, fellas, on this wonderful Wednesday? Is it? Yeah, it's a wonderful Wednesday. It's nice to hear Creator's voice. We still don't know what he's talking about, but it's still nice to hear his voice. I'm running this campaign, and I believe I'm going to sway some of y'all over to this campaign today. I like this subject about intersectionality. My campaign is Black Woman, Let Us Save You. I know that sounds crazy coming from the Roger Report Live. What? We trying to save them? Yes, we got to save them because they ain't going to save themselves. And here's the deal when it comes to intersectionality. Let's just say they're right, Roger. Let's just say everything this woman said is correct. You know how you defeat all that? Stand behind your man.
Oh.
See, if you stand behind your man, he deals with all the problems and all the issues. He deals with all your discrimination. He deals with all your difficulties. See, if you stand behind your man, see if you go out, be the type of woman you should be, you get married to a black man, right? And this black man is working hard to take care of you. Let's just say you do got a job, and they are discriminating against you, and you're not getting promoted the way you want to get promoted. You know what black do? Black.
Okay.
Did they get him?
You know what? Yeah, the system got him, but you know what? They should have got him. I think he's doing the same thing he was doing, trying to stretch that 2 minutes into 98. 2 minute open statements, y'all. It's 2 minute open statements.
We in God's time.
And 3 minutes for the privileged people, because here come the privileged people in the moment. But I'm gonna read this first. Shout out to 414 Money. He said, the Roger Report Live, we still on for that sponsor show topic. Can a black man be truly productive in the white system? Absolutely, brother. We don't let we don't let those go. We don't let those go. We just had a good sponsor show Friday. What we would like from you, 414 Money, we would like either an email from you to kind of clarify a little bit of exactly what you mean, or if you have a chance after the show, can you hit the link and come backstage with it after the show? Because we got a couple questions about how we about presenting that particular subject matter, and we want to do right by your money. We want to do right by your money. So if you can, come check in with us right after the show, brother. The link will be live for a while. Check in with us right after the show, and because we got a couple questions for you before we do that show, and we want to make sure it's fire, brother. We want to make sure it's fire. That's all. Okay, we'd appreciate it. We'd appreciate it. All right. All right, we got the privileged folks next. Before we go there, shout out to Landon. Appreciate the super chat, my brother. Landon says, live and let die, player. It is what it is. Okay, I guess that is in response to Great Black Reset talking about saving folk. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what that is.
I'm back to defend myself.
Real quick. Email is therogerreport@yahoo.com. Okay, the email is therogerreport@yahoo.com. Or like I said, just hit the link and come talk with us, because we can get a better understanding if you're talking with us. But an email would also be sufficient. All right. Go ahead, defend yourself real quick, and then I'm gonna let these other folks get in.
All right, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But anyway, stand behind your man. See, we don't disagree with him. You are a double minority. You are suffering twice as much as everybody else. But if you don't want to suffer, stand behind your man. See, I'm that rock and I'm that pillar. Whatever wind blows, whatever rain blows on us, I'ma stand firm for you so you don't have to deal with it. So if you don't want to complain about being discriminated against, stand behind me. Baby, I got you. Let us save you.
Okay. All right. Let's give it to one, the only, like no other. The butt naked truth is in the building. The butt naked truth. You got the flow, my brother. You got the flow.
Roger, I respectfully like to go after Brock, let these young niggas say whatever they need to say, and then let wisdom shine.
Okay.
So whatever order that is, I'll go after.
Okay, but then
oh shit.
No problem. That means Black Uru, you would be next, and then we get Bronk after you.
I thought House was passing it to Bronk, so I'll defer to Bronk.
Okay, all right. Well, technically, I can't skip past your script because you do have it.
No. I said whatever. I would like to go after Bronk. So whatever.
No, I got you. I got you.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Now, if you want to let Bronk go before you can. That's up to you.
Y'all can keep passing that ball, man. I'm where he intercept.
I have a lot to say about intersectionality. Pardon me. But I'm going to defer that to make a broader point about how the sabotage of the education of Black men creates this kind of scenario whereby you can prop up cockamamie theories and schemes created by Black women and then use those as the basis of engaging in divide and conquer activity between Black women because their Blackness authorizes it. Like you notice how white women and small head women, etc., very gleefully celebrate Kimberly Crenshaw Williams because she's a perfect sort of, she and what she's done and what she represents is a perfect tool of divide and conquer amongst Black people, and including and especially for the benefit of white and small hat women. So I'll end my opening statement there. I have some statements about intersectionality, but I'll defer those for now.
Is Roger talking? Because I can't hear him.
Nah, that's how he show off. He did his you know what I'm saying?
No, I gave it to you.
He said what he had to say in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I gave it to you, Bronk. We waiting on you to talk.
Oh, okay. My bad. I ain't even hear you. My bad. But man, I don't know why Black Reset got on her tripping today, man. I'm gonna say this, Black
So,
man. It is
so you saying you don't stand in front of your woman? That's what you're saying?
No.
Hold on. Reset.
Yeah,
He can say 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Because you counter Reset.
He can say
you
whatever he wants.
You done interrupted me already. You done got on here with some BS this morning. I'm about to call it out. All right. So it is not Black men's job to save any white supremacist. First and foremost, it is not a Black man's job to save a white supremacist. So until the Black woman stops being a white supremacist, we should not be putting ourselves forward to be trying to save them. Because what's going to happen is if these women who are white supremacists are standing behind us, all that's going to do for us is get us thrown under the bus. Okay? Reset said something about you dealing with the issues for the Black woman. But when that Black woman standing behind you as a white supremacist, that's going to be the woman who calls the Ku Klux Klan on you and then pushes you out the front door to go deal with it. It is not our job as Black men to be saving Black women that do not give a damn about us. I'm going to land my plane on that.
Okay.
I feel attacked.
That was the
I feel attacked, sir.
A feeling is not necessarily a truth. Okay, a feeling is not necessarily a truth. It's a feeling. Okay, but we're gonna give it to the big dog. Okay, the butt naked truth is here. He's at the quote unquote young person go. So we did that. So go ahead. The butt naked truth. You got the flow.
Thank you, Roger. And I'll be quick with it. And today is actually one of those days where I'll actually, be a little bit more methodical instead of a little bit crass. The National Endowment of Humanities designates about $6 billion a year in humanities research. When we talk about intersectionality, racism, we're talking about the humanities departments in America's higher education. And this is where the funding, the support comes from for her books, her research, and her lecture. Now remember, $6 billion a year. Now, when we look at education, because this is right, academia is take of America when it wants to move policies or social and cultural norms, especially in humanities. And we do a real disservice when Black enter humanities at WIs. And we do even more of a bigger disservice when we go to elite PWIs in the humanitarian departments. Because one thing that white supremacy has literally figured out that we Black people have not figured out, in my humble opinion, is how to come up with racist systems as oppressive as Jim Crow is even more effective. And one of those things is, number one, feminism. Right? How do you get women to hate men? And not only how do you get women to hate men, but how do you get Black women to hate Black men, and not only hate Black men, but perpetuate that through academia, lecture, and research. Because looking at research, right? All of this is just made up. All of this is made up because in order to keep your tenure, in order to stay relevant in the university world, you have to publish, you have to research. And you have endowments of $6 billion to do it. And 90% of that research is never even finished when you do a deeper dive into it. But it's literally just women thinking up shit, grabbing money to make research about their feelings. And I'll close it there for right now. Oh, and last point. You are crazy if you're going to talk to them about let us save you. And also, Black men are not super. We need to stop that. Because if we are Superman, how come we can't fix our problems? And I'll leave it there.
Because we got niggas like you talking about how can we fix
again.
our problems. You can spend all energy reading and researching everybody's data. We can research and keep finding and trying to search for an answer instead of jumping off the porch, right? And just taking responsibility. These my girls, right? And I know these my girls. My girls is messed up. So let me at least, before I start running and researching on why, let me at least jump in.
Sir, this is not
and have some type of plan, right? Again, if you don't have capacity, that's okay. But some people do.
No,
and the people that don't talk about how they can't.
It's not about whether I or not. About racism didn't just start today. Racism didn't just start 50 years ago on the date of my birth. What are you talking about?
And
if Black men
can we at least clearly identify the issue first before we started attacking each other's positions? Why are we attacking each other's positions? I'm not talking to you, Hot Sauce. I'm mostly talking to Bronx and the other brother. I mean, let brothers at least get their points out before we attack them, for Christ's sake.
Right, but anyway, let me land on this point because it's not about research. This is common knowledge amongst people who attend elite schools, right? You have to research for tenure. You have to research for your PhD. You have to research to graduate. This is not something. This is commonly known. Well, let me say this. This is commonly known for people who graduate from where I graduate from. So, with that being said, There is tons of money.
I think
Tons of money.
I'm gonna recommend.
No.
Oh, go ahead.
I understand what you want to take it, but I'm saying that particularly because the hammer has been landed. We cannot unland it. So I'm saying that to say this. It's not about sitting in a room research. It's about lived experience. And now I'm going to pass the mic.
Okay, what I was going to say briefly, and there's not a rebuttal to what you're saying, but I do think it's important and very relevant to what you're saying. Because Dr. T.S. Johnson regularly and repeatedly refers to the specific difficulty of Black men in academia, particularly with respect to asserting and creating and getting the backing for research that's specifically in regards to the interests of Black men. So I agree with what you're saying, Hasso, but he explains, and he's actually in the field. He's actually fighting this fight, has been fighting that fight for decades. And you're right, but when you listen to him, you understand why it's not being done. That's all I wanted to say about that. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying.
I'm okay. Then let me make my position. I am not critiquing T.S. Johnson. What I'm saying, it is a concerted effort in academia to keep Black women funded to constantly attack us while we have to battle and scrape up money because we are ostracized out of those resources. So basically, I'm just repeating what T.S. Johnson and the others have talked about.
Okay. Now I'm gonna say that intersectionality, I mean, is far more than just an academic thing because
no, it's not.
No, hold on. Hear what I'm saying, brother. I'm saying the theory don't work as presented by women because as soon as you bring up Black men, it kind of destroys the theory. Because we don't get this plus for being a male. I tell you what we do get, we get attacked for being a Black male. See, you can be a Black woman and move in different circles and people ain't really tripping about it. But when you do it as a Black man, now all of a sudden people looking at you and people got a problem with what you're doing. Because I'm gonna say the proof of that is every time Black men went out and built a city in America, or just about every time, because I don't know of a city in America that Black men truly built that was able to stand in progress. The only thing, I ain't gonna say that. There's a few, but most of the towns that Black men built were destroyed. Point blank, period. So intersectionality doesn't work. If a Black man builds a town, more than likely it's going to be destroyed. Now there's a few that survive because I'm gonna say Chicago actually, and people may not know it, Black men did that. Okay, he started Chicago. But most places that Black men start are attacked. Okay, so intersectionality don't really pan out in truth. Okay, the way it's presented, because it's presented that if you're a man, you're gonna get a plus. And every time I ask women, what I'm saying, the ones in college, the ones out of college, the ones who call themselves feminists, the ones who say they're not feminists, I ask all of them, what do a Black man get for being a man? And nobody can answer.
Roger, respectfully, first I'm going to say I agree with you, but it doesn't need to be true. It doesn't need to be true. It just needs to be believed.
I totally get what you're saying on that point, and that's the whole point of doing the show. Because guess what? We need to create a standard where it actually needs to be true.
It needs to be believed, and it needs for white supremacy to support it. That's the most important part.
Yes.
And my thing is, my job is not to make it believe. My job is to change the standard. No, it needs to be true. So we need to start, actually showing what it actually is, so people can know the truth about it. I understand white supremacy wants it to be believed, so they can continue to push what they want to push, but that ain't my job to help. So that's not what I'm on.
So can I say, to a degree, we can say is white supremacy, but we can't ignore just choice. And this is just like an experiment.
Hold on real quick, because I don't mind you getting in, but the nameless protagonist came up and he ain't had a chance to speak yet. So let me get him in first, and then we can come back to you. All right. The name is
I was
protagonist.
really hoping name would come.
All right. The name is protagonist. You have the flow, my brother.
To the chat and the instructors on the panel. Os.
Os.
I'm going to start today with 3 people's quotes. And this is going to take longer than 2 minutes if I can get that permission just to finish these quotes.
I'm going to give Nameless an expertise exception today, okay? An expertise exception, because we know you're an expert on this. So go ahead, my brother.
This took place during Reconstruction, when the abolitionist movement after the Civil War began converting into the agreement to resolve the problems of the Civil War with the Civil Rights Act, the original Civil Rights Act that was written by the radical Republicans, headed by Thaddeus Stevens. If you've got time, please research those individuals. It will shed a lot of light onto what's going on to this day. With that said, the abolitionist movement largely was the vocal point on pushing towards an end of slavery. But there was always a point of contention and tension that directly relates to the subject matter today on intersectionality, why it was formed, and why it isn't a coincidence that it occurred in Columbia University, which was the heart of where the Frankfurt School was actually stemming from. I'm going to quote 3 people. During the American Equal Rights Association, which formed after the fallout of the abolitionist movement. And the reason why it fell out is because the Reconstruction Amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, created a tension. Specifically with the 15th Amendment, which has been brought up lately, which speaks about the right to vote. Prior to that, it was the whole birthright citizenship thing. But immediately after that, it ended up being this issue on who can vote. And it was stated, and we were listed in the actual amendment, Black men specifically. This is one of the most important things because it specifically targeted and was applying to us. And the loudest voices in the abolitionist movement was white women. I'm going to cite Frederick Douglass here. This is the American Equal Rights Association Convention, May 12, 1869. Quote, I must say that I do not see how anyone can pretend that there's the same urgency in giving the ballot to the woman as to the Negro. With us, the matter is a question of life and death. At least in 15 states of the Union, when women, because they are women, are hunted down through the cities of New York and New Orleans, when they are dragged from their houses and hung upon lampposts, when their children are torn from their arms and their brains are dashed out upon the pavement, when they are objects of insult and outrage at every turn, when they are in danger of having their homes burnt over their heads, when their children are not allowed to enter schools, then they will have an urgency to obtain the ballot equal to our own. In response to this, Susan B. Anthony, and I quote, if you will not give the loaf of suffrage to the entire of people, give it to the most intelligent first. If intelligence, justice, and morality are to have precedence in the government, let the question of woman be brought up first and that of the Negro last. When she was pressed further as to whether or not she would support Black people, Black men in particular, she states, quote, I will cut off this right arm of mine before I will ever work or demand the ballot for the Negro and not the woman. Susan B. Anthony, May 12, 1869. The last quote, and this is in response to what Susan B. Anthony said. Quote, think of Patrick and Sambo and Hans and Young Tongue. And I'm gonna pause here. At the time, anyone who was speaking about someone named Patrick, they're speaking about the recent individuals who were migrating to the United States at the time out of Ireland due to the potato famine. So Patrick was a universal term to describe Irish people. And I don't think I need to explain Sambo. Y'all know what that means. And At the same time, due to the railroad project, the Hans and Yungtang are making reference to the Korean and Chinese immigrants that were making their way over here in the same time period. So I repeat, quote, to think of Patrick and Sambo and Hans and Yungtang, who do not know the difference between a monarchy and a republic, who cannot read the Declaration of Independence or Webster's spelling book, making laws for Lucrezia Mott or Susan B. Anthony. Quote, I would say no. I would not trust him with all my rights. Degraded, oppressed himself, he would be more despotic with the governing power than even our Saxon rulers are. In other words, their belief is, should we ever be in a position to have any sort of equal standing, it's just believed we'd be just as bad as any white dude as they see, and is the reason why they were resisting. I'm bringing this all up to show that from the very beginning, the problem was always Black men having any sort of agency that other people didn't have control over. And this can be a direct line tied into social dominance theory, where being a male in the out group is an aggregate that is worse than any other position you can be in, because men threaten men, and men are responsible for the direction of energy and the maintenance of any group you can find. And as a result of this, the outgroup males will always be the quintessential threat. And we have, since the nexus of this country start, both politically and socially, have and continue to be the permanent outgroup. And as a result of that, no amount of comparison can equal to the double dip theory that intersectional feminism introduces to the table, because they will never be the target of negative disposition the way men will be, because by default they are women.
Beautifully stated.
All right. I got a couple super chats I need to read.
Yeah.
Shout out to Inspired True Broadcast. Appreciate you, my brother. He says BBCT, bring back critical thinking. Now, I hope people will do that, especially after what name was just presented to us. I appreciate that big time. Shout out to you, brother. And shout out to my main man, the Passport OG. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, y'all. And I'm going to say, y'all, if you ain't subscribed to his channel, go and do so. I check him out every day. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Passport OG. He says nameless tax. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Now,
Nameless
creator rants.
Nameless dropped a historical gem.
One more.
Dropped a historical.
Black Oodle, is one more. Shout out to Inspired True Broadcast. He says subordinate target hypotheses. And of course, he got the bullseye symbol and he got the check mark for saying that is absolutely true. Appreciate you, Inspired True Broadcast. Appreciate you. All right, go ahead, Black Oodle. Go ahead.
Well, Nameless dropped a historical gem. I don't know. I'm sure he knows it. He did. He dropped a historical gem in what he said when he described Susan B. Anthony in particular asserting intelligence and literacy as a criteria for voting. Because what happened to Black men when they attempted to vote, even decades and generations earlier? What happened to them when they attempted to vote? One of the things that happened to them was they were submitted to literacy tests.
Right.
Yes.
So a white feminist authored that Jim Crow criteria.
Yep.
A white feminist, a very famed, a very prized and valuable and acclaimed and revered white feminist authored those particular forms of Jim Crow code. But nobody ever talks about that.
That bitch better get back to sewing.
After Creator gets his rant in, I'd like to interject afterward.
Creator done dipped out for a sec.
I'll go after the reset.
Well, what I wanted to say was, to make my position understood. What I'm saying is when I say let us save you, I'm implying agreement. I'm implying that, and I said this too. I said women, they need to go back to learning to being good wives, so that they be in a position for us to stand in front of them, not being the white supremacists that we have started to identify themselves as. So this is what I'm referring to. And also, I want to say, secondly, Creator came up here and said a whole bunch of craziness, so much so he confused himself and admitted it. But y'all jumped on me. I don't even understand what's going on up here. I don't even understand.
So I
There,
want
there was one part. Well, one thing you said that was not factually true, and that is that black women suffered the most and more were the most besotted people. You said
No, I
that
didn't.
in
No, no, no.
your
I said, I
yes, you
said
did.
let's.
You
No,
alluded
no.
to that.
I said let's
You alluded to
assume.
that. Go back and
I
listen to
did.
yourself. Well,
I
I'm
did.
just
I said
yeah.
let's
Okay.
assume that what the woman said in the video is true. Let's assume, because she asserted that those things were true. I'm not saying they're true. I'm saying to rebuttal that argument that these women are having. Let's just say it's true. Let's agree with them for sake of argument and say yes, you are being decided upon. But if you stand behind me, you won't be. That's what I'm saying. Does that make
so
sense?
so yeah, I get your
Okay.
point, but
No, I appreciate that clarification.
this is what I wanted to say earlier. Um, when it comes down to this, well, I have two huge problems. The first huge problem I have is that when we talk about intersectionality, we talk about women and the maltreatment that they give. We always run to the voting issue. And I mean, to be honest, how potent has the right to vote really been for Black America? That's a that's a rhetorical question. You can answer that on your own. Second point, when we really want to look at intersectionality, or diffuse it, or talk about how quote unquote Black men have never stood up for Black women, have we not looked at civil rights? King, X, Abernathy, and the list goes on how Black men have stand in the gap for all Black people. I mean, this is treason for a Black woman to fix her mouth to say something like Black men have not been there and have not been the guardians of her civil rights. That's beyond diabolical. That is demonism. When Black women didn't feel beautiful enough, we came up with Black beauty pageants, right? Where Black men from the Pullmans save money to start magazines to show that Black women are beautiful, Black women are lovely. Half the shit that niggas kill themselves over Black women today. Great Reset lost his mind yesterday over big booty BBL. So what are we talking about? And I'll rest my case here.
But I'm gonna say y'all that
You
This
might
what
you
this what we're
might
doing.
love a
This what we're
dog.
doing.
You might love a dog. You might appreciate a dog. You might feed a dog, but ultimately it's still a damn dog.
Well, if you call Black Recess BBL woman a dog, he gonna shoot you.
well,
No,
I think
I'm saying the exact opposite of that. I'm saying to Kimberly Crenshaw and her like, we just a
Oh
damn dog.
yeah. You're right.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, that needs to be made clear for the audience. He's saying to Kimberly Crenshaw and people who think like her, Black men are just dogs to them, or
Yeah.
the equivalent of a dog, if that. I'm gonna say the equivalent of a dog, if that, because a
Just
dog
dogs.
might be a compliment based on their worldview. Um, shout out to Jerome
Well, I
Payne.
mean, it's a lower being to be used at my convenience and discretion. That's my point. That might be very useful, but at the same time, ultimately, it's still just a damn dog, and ultimately, I can do with it as I choose.
Right. Now, shout out to Jerome Payne. He says, just remember, no matter what Black men do helping or just staying out of the way, It's always your fault, Jermaine. Now, I'm gonna say this, y'all. I'm gonna say this. See, this is the thing. Intersectionality has been characterized in certain ways. But if we look at what intersectionality actually is, again, anytime you insert black men into intersectionality, the whole thing falls apart because it don't even work anymore. Now, shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast. He says, don't forget about Sir Mix-a-Lot promoting black women. Well, you know what he did? You know, if you really want to be real about it, he was promoting the beauty of black women and the fact that just because she got a big butt don't make her ugly. Okay, which, as y'all know, white men were known for saying they want a white woman with a small butt. You know, they ain't said in that phrase, but that's what they were known for. So he was promoting black women's beauty at the end of the day. You know, but black feminists would now say, well, he was being a misogynist or something. You know, they'll take it as a negative, even though he literally was promoting black women's beauty and the fact that they have curves. So, see, just as Black Rule said, they'll use it when they feel that they can do something positive with it. But it's the moment they want to crush you with, they'll use the exact same thing. They will use it to say our curves should be celebrated, but they'll also say the man who wrote it is a misogynist.
Well, fun fact, real quick. There's a book called Freakonomics where you have these Harvard researchers studying about the impacts on things. That's the impacts of things. And Sir Mix-a-Lot almost single-handedly changed the perception of rear ends and made the plastic surgeons billions of dollars because white women start to now look at getting big butts because of that song.
All right. Now, and like I say, intersectionality again, it's something nice for women to use, but it's truly just used as a weapon against black men at the end of the day. Now, I don't know why somebody could come up with this theory of intersectionality and then start pinning black men against black women unless you was a white supremacist from day one, because that's the only way that even makes sense to me. And the thing is this, because as being a man who also is being black, you're going to get discriminated far more than black women, because we know that based on the numbers too. They just gonna roll with it. At the end of the day, we can't tell the truth about intersectionality, because if we tell the truth about it, we're gonna have to acknowledge that black men suffer more than any group of women in this country for being male. That is literally what our problem is. Now, I will say, I am unaware that a large group of people or the government came against any other group of men in this country. There's Chinatowns all over the place. What's a Chinatown? A bunch of Chinese men getting together to establish a great place for their people, their culture, their ways. Nobody did anything. You know, there's Koreatowns. Again, no one did anything. There's all kind of places and areas where a certain group of people get together amongst their own. They eat the way they want. They live the way they want.
To be fair, historically, some of those Asian towns exist, or those Asian sectors exist, because originally they couldn't live anywhere else or apply trade anywhere else, except for maybe in black communities, ironically, which is what we saw illustrated in centers. But a lot of the origins of these Chinatowns and Koreatowns and even Little Italies and Greek towns, a lot of them were actually originally due to ethnic segregation. Now, then they held on and they maintained, and as they became white people and more accepted, they were able to, of course, integrate into the broader white society while maintaining their Greek towns, their German towns, their Little Italies and that sort of thing. So it is a little bit more complex than what you're presenting.
Well, no, what I'm saying with that, though, it was about location. The white folks that was already considered white didn't want them around them, but they did not go out and destroy their towns. When it comes to black men, there was a little physical destruction of their towns. That didn't
Yeah.
happen to any
Yes,
individual
sir.
people.
It depend
Yes,
on
sir.
where they were. Well, it depended on where they were. There was some destruction of particularly
Not,
Chinese communities
not,
and things like that, especially during the period of the railroads and whatever. But obviously it was not in any way equivalent to and as widespread as what happened to black people.
Yeah. What I'm
Obviously.
saying is, when it comes to towns that black men put together, white people had no reason to destroy those towns, and they literally just made them up on the fly. You know, you had the normal
Well, that's
story where
definitely
some
true.
white woman would make a claim that somebody sexually assaulted her, which means that I have to believe a white woman will go into a black area amongst a bunch of black men way back when people knew what time it was, and yet the black men was so slow that they would actually rape a white woman, knowing what type of response they're going to get. Now, I ain't saying I'm the smartest man in the room, but it take a whole lot for me to believe a black man in 1800s, 1700s, or whatever was finna rape a white woman, knowing what was gonna come behind that. And he was like, "Nah, it's cool. I'm gonna do it anyway." You know, you know, if you rape that white woman, they gonna kill you, they gonna hang you, they gonna cut your nuts off, they gonna burn the town down, all that stuff. And he was just like, "Nah, I'm gonna do it anyway, because I don't care. You know, me living, that don't mean anything. My brother's living means nothing. My mom living don't mean nothing to me. My daddy living, who cares? My sisters, they don't really mean anything." Yeah, so I don't believe none of that. And I'm gonna say, at the end of the day, when it came down to it, just about everywhere black men went to build a town was white people coming right behind it with physical destruction. Okay? Now, I'm going to say,
You know, one
historically,
of
I
the
have not
many
seen that with anybody else.
evil machinations of feminism is that it has very artfully, it's been used very artfully to disguise the cooning of black women in particular. Notice how historically we almost always talk about and demonize uh, and vilify the black male coon. We never really think about and talk about the black female coon. The only time we give some degree of grief, and even that is relatively minimal, is when a black woman is sleeping with a white man. We put a lot of attention on that, even though we refer to it as bed wenching. We don't necessarily refer to it as a cooning, but it really is cooning, you know. And what we see from Kimberly Crenshaw Williams is a very sophisticated and laudatory form of cooning. And it's very effective cooning. It's very effective butter biscuit hustling. You know, I hear that she had professorships at both UCLA and Columbia University.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's got professorships at private schools in the country and one of the best top 10 public schools in the country. That's some high level butter biscuit earning cooning that she's doing. So you say some metal ass language about now, but it shit pays real good to her.
Well, see, the thing about it is that's what I was talking about before. You can't talk about intersectionality and not bring up humanities, right? Because humanities is what promulgates, funds, promotes, and distributes white supremacy against black men, and teaching black women to go against their to attack black men. Because I don't want to say there are women, because they're not, but teaches them to attack black men, teach them to hate men in general, right? That's what you're getting at a PWI education. If you're a woman in general, if you're a woman, you're going to learn how to hate men, how to hate black men in particular, and then how to use cancel culture, how to use political research to suppress them.
And I'm gonna say that I mean when it comes down to it, one of the major issues is that Black women take this training and use it to quote unquote suppress Black male thought. Anything that Black men say is affecting them, they'll say, well, it's not really that important because they're a male. When if you look at the research, the reason that things happen to Black men is because they're male. But see, when you say intersectionality, you're supposed to get a quote unquote plus because you're a male. Now, of course, when I saw that clip, the clip that I used where you hear the woman saying, because you're a man, you get a plus. And I said, just to see what's gonna happen. I said something like interesting concept. But how does a Black man get a plus? How do you get a plus for being a Black man? Of course, now I ain't gonna say it was still a long time. I just put it there when I saw it. And I don't make a whole lot of comments because I know my comments are valuable. I don't make a whole lot of comments on people's video, but I just wanted to see what kind of response I would get for a comment like that. Well, as of the start of the show, I didn't see any response. I doubt I'll ever get a response on that. And that's real talk. Because again, every time I've asked any woman about this stuff, heck, even any man, truth be told, that agrees with this stuff, I just simply ask, well, where's my benefit? Because I'm a man and I'm Black. You said because I'm a man, I get a benefit. What is it? Can you identify any benefit that I get as a Black man living in America? Just give me one. And so far, no one's been able to get it to me. Now, intersectionality says you don't have to look at what's going on with me because I am a man. Yeah, well, we can look at it from a racist concept. Well, if we're going to hire people and try to correct racism, so you made somebody a double minority to help me? Now, my thing is, am I mad at a Black woman who got a job? No. But let's not lie about it either. I ain't mad that you hired her, but we can tell the truth that she got the job because she was a double minority and I'm a single minority. That's fine. It's not going to be world shattering to me, and it shouldn't be world shattering to any Black man. But it does say what Black men have to do. And unfortunately, because of how Black women use this concept of intersectionality, it pretty much is them saying that you need to be on your own because we ain't got your back. And I'm gonna say honestly, it's unnecessary. You don't even have to use this intersectionality thought to be against Black men. You could just be saying, well, these things particularly line up with me. But then again, I'm also going to ask again, how are women discriminated against? Because what was denied of women? What have women in America ever asked for that they did not get? Now, I hear people say discrimination. And I know a lot of people don't put thought into stuff, but what have they ever asked for that they didn't get? Now, that's not me saying women ain't never been discriminated against, though. I'm just asking, what is the thing?
Well, I'd be careful with that kind of statement because a lot of shit that women might ask for, they ain't got no business getting. So I might say, well, what have women needed that they didn't get? That's different from what they wanted. There's a lot of shit they want they have no business, and they had no business at all get, frankly. But I want to say another negative consequence of intersectionality is it brought a lot of other entities into the quote Black struggle that have nothing to do with Black people. Whether you live alternative lifestyles or whether you're disabled or a lot of other things, and then it created questions and issues about priority and focus of Black people, because now all these other entities are in line for their cut on things too, and we're supposed to actually help enable them because we're all one part of some shit show group of disaffected people. So it hasn't just been created an issue between black men and black women. It has deprioritized black people overall by bringing in all these other groups of people into our struggle.
Man.
And that's, to me, when you look at what Kimberly Crenshaw and her like did, that's a particularly evil part of what they did, because that meant that you end up sabotaging black women as well when you do this.
Now, I'm gonna say shout out to y'all Borgen. He gave a response to what had they asked for they didn't get. Now he said the answer is more. Now I'm gonna say that's a lie. That's a lie. They're gonna continue to ask for more, but they've been getting more for a long time. Let's keep that real now. They've been getting more for a long time. And shout out to Reynolds. His response to that was, you get the benefit of an increased draft age of now being 42. That's what you got. Okay. So yeah, that's been America's response to trying to, make them okay. And again, y'all, look. And if there's somebody out there who wants to speak on the panel, y'all see the link. It ain't, it's open to people. At the end of the day, discrimination, to my understanding, is when people do something against you, not just something that just pre-exists because of conditioning. I don't ever remember women not being able to work because they asked work and they were denied it. I remember women working, and when the men came back, they said we want to keep working, and things just kept going swimmingly. Again, I've never heard of the great stoppage when men came back and women had to leave the workforce. I don't ever remember that in history. Now, if y'all can point it out to me, let me know, because to my understanding, it don't exist. So what has women asked for that they never got? I'm going to say so far, it seems like nothing. I'm not aware of any particular thing that women asked for that they did not get. Now, does that sound like you're being discriminated against?
Yeah.
These modern black women are professional victims, man. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with professional victims. They want to be victims so bad, and what they're doing, they're trying to get the attention of white men to better them. They just want to be Miss Ann, man. That's the whole thing.
Goddamn, you're stepping on my toes right now. You're stepping on my toes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize, sir.
Anyway, because I was really going to bring you in. I was really going to bring you in because you came up, but he just couldn't hold himself. So I was like, let me get out for a second.
No, Roger had texted me personally and say, man, forget that nigga, man. Go ahead.
That sounds about right.
Now, Mrs. Z, you got the flow, my brother. You got the flow. Don't worry about the text.
Right. Thanks for having me up, Raj. And you know what? That's okay, because I came up just to spite Raj into be petty. And to play semantics, so that's okay. Raj just got the ups on me. He got me first. So I want to start off with what Black Guru said. So Black Guru is correct, and Asians are being gentrified right now. So to all of you, get your information updated. They are being gentrified in Chinatowns all across America. So all that imitate the Asians, and the Asians could do it. And again, priced out of their own neighborhoods across America. So there's that. Anyway, moving on. So don't let anybody tell you it's violence or black people are not an act or whatever the hell. That's not true. Even though we already knew that. Okay, moving on. Intersectionality. So you can't make her white. That's simple, right? So the issue we have here with intersectionality and what intersectionality has become, right? What it started off as, but definitely what it has become, is to flip the power structure upside down, right? We can't talk about social dominance order. I hate that I'm coming up after nameless. God damn it. But it sucks for them that they're black women. That's how they see it. So they flip the power structure upside down. If you have ever been part of these conversations, unfortunately, Mr. Z has. That is why they start the conversation out with, as a black woman who's LGBTQ and has astigmatism and has autism and has a peg leg and that is them qualifying why they should be the one that we defer to. So when you hear intersectionality, don't think of intersecting intersections, right? Don't think of roads that intersect. Think of it as a layered cake, right? And the higher up you stack it, the more we defer to that person. And the person that has the most quote intersecting oppressions is the person that we defer to, or at least that we pay more attention to and we're more attentive to. And so what Black women did in their spaces or in spaces that they occupied where people subscribe to this is that what they did with this is they allowed for themselves to be the person that gets deferred to. And it is oppression Olympics for them. And you don't have to be factually accurate because we're in a postmodern world. It doesn't matter about the numbers. This is how Bell Hooks was able to run the board for 30 plus years before her passing, because it's not about facts. That's why she didn't have to cite anything in her books. It's postmodern. You don't need facts. You don't need the stats. It's air quotes observable reality and feelings. This is what, one more thing, Roger. That's why
when you don't have
real quick, that's why the personal is political. That's what I had to say. And that is why the personal is political, because it's not about what's factually accurate. And I'll pause right there.
And when you don't have Black men in academia, you specifically have excluded them from academia, it's easy for you to perpetuate this unsubstantiated so-called scholarship.
And I want to say that my thing is, no, it is about facts. Feelings, you can do whatever you want with them. No, it is about facts. In order for me to recognize intersectionality the way it's presented, you must show me how, because I'm a man, it works for me. And so far, no one can do that. I've yet to meet anyone who can show me how intersectionality works for me as a Black man. You can tell me all this stuff about what the white man do, but I want you to tell me about what the Black man get. I'm Black, I'm male, I do live in America. What did I get for it? And no one can answer that.
I think intersectionality.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
One second. So you spoke of how when Black men are in the room, all of that go to shambles, and you're 100% correct. That is why Black men cannot be included in that way. As a matter of fact, in one of the clips that you posted, Kimberly Crenshaw acknowledges this, and she minimizes it and pushes it to the side. She said, "Yeah, it might be a thing, but it's like a little thing. It's not really a thing. Like social dominance, where it's like the white men aren't oppressing Black men because they're Black men. I mean, like that might be a thing, but it's like a little teeny tiny bit of thing. And it's easy to say that in a room full of smaller hat women and white women because they want to hear that anyway. When you hear Susan B. Anthony, shout out to the nameless protagonist. When you hear what he read, appreciate that other white women know this. Black women who take those feminist classes know that origin story, and they're going along with that because that is the point.
Yep.
They know that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean this is not a fair fight. These are not honest people intellectually in terms of their Scott. They're not honest people. They're not you know, I mean, and when you accept the fact that they are actively and willfully dishonest, deliberately dishonest liars in the highest scholastic positions. Again, this woman has professorships at one of the top 10 private schools and one of the top 10 public schools in the country. Them people ain't fighting fair. They don't give a fuck about what's right and what's true. They don't care nothing about what Black men are supposed to get out of it, Roger. Nothing at all.
Which is why it's that much more important for Black men to point it out, because I know
it's a very convenient concept or philosophy to study to just outright ignore Black men. That's what it is. That's what intersectionality is. It's just some BS that they can focus on instead of focusing on Black male issues, right? It ignores even what slavery did to us. It ignores us jumping here or landing in this country in chains. It ignores even what happened after slavery, right? After slavery, during the Reconstruction era, because Lincoln was assassinated and Andrew Johnson took over, a lot of the Reconstruction efforts that would have benefited Black men in America were shot down, right? So it ignores even that. And instead of helping to create jobs for Black men, we got like things like loitering laws, vagrancy laws. So they made homelessness after slavery illegal so that they could essentially go and reincarcerate Black men and have them industrialize the South.
No. So they could have
for prison labor.
So they could have legal slaves. because the
Yeah, legal slavery.
the clause.
And then not only that, but you put black men in the situation. Go ahead.
I gotta say this because it got to be heard by the audience because some people don't get it. Okay, yeah, you ended slavery, then you criminalized being homeless, even though slaves never got paid. And the only way to be a legal slave is to be convicted of a crime. So you just created crimes to convict them of.
Yep.
That's all I want to make sure I got to say. Go ahead.
And so that also led to the fact that black men being faced with those rigorous laws had to do what? They had to go right back to the slave owner as sharecroppers. Because they had no other choice. Do I sit here and wait for some type of 40 acres and a mule to come my way and then put myself at risk for breaking these vagrancy and loitering laws and then getting incarcerated? Or do I go back to the master and get a job so I don't have to worry about that, right? And then when they went back to master, the sharecropper essentially put them in a debt slavery at that point, because how they would pay them out is that when they were picking cotton, they wouldn't allow them to essentially get paid until the harvest was complete. And so they had to survive in between times. What did they do? They took loans from the dang planter. And by the time the harvest came, and by the time the harvest came, they had to pay off all of that.
I want to drive home, but let's drive home the treachery. Let's take everything you just said, and let's drive home the treachery of women like Kimberly Crenshaw Williams. Kimberly Crenshaw Williams, she's Harvard educated, Ivy League educated. She spoke of her own family being active in the civil rights movement, her parents, right? So Kimberly knows every damn thing you just said, bro. And she probably know it better than you, and she probably can cite dates on shit. So that's how treacherous that particular woman is. That's what you're dealing with. So take everything you just said, everything you know, and realize the woman who's at the top of this thing know all of that times 10 and is doing what she's doing anyway.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, when it comes down to it, people say sometimes you get unintended consequences. I'm pretty sure she figured out what the consequences was going to be before she pushed this stuff the way she was, because this is not some woman who just had an idea and just went for it. This is a very educated woman. She wants to be sitting in the right place when it comes to white supremacy. And if y'all not recognize it now, I know it's hard to see now. This is a clip of her being on NBC. You know what I'm saying? People like this get hurt because white people want them out front. You know what I'm saying? She was on the Daily Show as well, I know of. You know what I'm saying? She's been on TED Talks. She's been somewhere everywhere where you could get some level of credibility for being there. All of them places don't. I guess none of those places seem to have a problem with it. I just say that. Okay. At least the ones she's been on, they don't seem to have no problem with her.
Next to maybe Bell Hooks, she is the most cited black feminist, I would say, of the last 30 plus years. Next to maybe Bell Hooks, maybe. That's who that woman is.
The diabolical nature of this is that black women are being propped up above black men in order to hold them down, so white men don't have to compete with us. This is what's happening. And black women, what they're doing is saying, yeah, slavery happened to you. Yeah, this and that happened to you. And we see that, but it was even worse on us. This is what they're saying. They're saying, we understand that certain things happen to you, but it happened to us too. But other things even worse happen to us because we're women. And what they're saying to white women is, yeah, me too. So everything that white women are complaining about with white men in order to try to be even with white men, black women are just co-signing it and saying, me too. Those two things are happening at the same time. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and that's why I think people need to understand, really kind of what intersectionality is and what it deals with, what claims that it's making, and how nonsensical it is when you actually apply it to real life. Intersectionality is a concept that people can use until you actually put in black men from a factual standpoint. The moment you bring in black men factually, that whole theory just breaks apart. But of course you're allowed to push this type of stuff, and there's all type of money behind it, because look what happens when you come up with stuff like this. Well, they'll give you 6-figure salaries, and they'll put it in colleges and universities as information that you have to get before you leave the school. You know, there's required stuff, there's non-required stuff. They put this stuff in colleges and universities. Why? Because that's supposed to be a respected place of learning. Everything there is supposed to be true. You're supposed to be able
Roger, the girl in the video said that her high school friend was teaching her about intersexuality. Don't you remember hearing that?
Absolutely.
She said the girl, which obviously she had a very immature and simplistic view and articulation of intersectionality, which, by the way, probably represents how 80+% of women, black and otherwise, really view intersexuality. But you know, what they said, convenient idiot or convenient, whatever. I mean, it sometimes it's better for people to not know what the hell they're talking about if they're willing to go along with the program anyway, which obviously she did not. And like I said, I do think it's interesting that she said that she had a high school friend talking to her about intersexuality. So that's how deeply rooted the propaganda is with that stuff.
Yeah, because let's not forget what goes on in college will definitely affect high schools and eventually grammar schools and all that stuff too. That stuff matters at the end of the day. Now, I got somebody up named It's Over. I don't know if it's somebody I know already or if it's one of the new people, but it's over. You are on the stage. You get a 2-minute opening statement. Go ahead.
Can y'all hear me?
We hear you.
Hello? Okay, I'm driving my big rig right now. First of all, I want to say I love all you guys. I appreciate y'all because y'all let us brothers know we ain't crazy. You help give us a language to articulate the battle that we've been going on that we didn't start or didn't even know was there at first. The reason why I say it's over is because the behavior we have to go through with what I realize is not our women now who we were just assigned to. The behavior stems from the ghetto all the way up to the White House, and it's like if the most powerful black man of our time can't get respect, what's the point? I mean, like, look, Stephen Curry, um, um, so many black men we know that are powerful and rich and even tall and everything these women say, and they keep moving the goalposts. It's either we just going to be single or we going to have to go to another group of women, unless they're like Crimson Cure or something like that. But that's by far the exception. I just think it's over. They leave them alone. They don't like us.
All right. Shout out to you, brother, for that. Appreciate you. We got Tunnel Runner in the building as well. Tunnel Runner, you got the mic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It might be a situation where if I have a black woman, she feels double oppressed, and I go with a Latin woman who just feels oppressed, and she knows I'm impressed, then we even. We starting out at a different level. If the black woman feels like she's doubly oppressed, she's feeling like whatever I do is not enough.
Now, I'm gonna say, to me, yeah, it is a little. It's definitely something to deal with when you gotta have an oppression, as they say, the oppression Olympics with a particular person you deal with at the end of the day. But if a woman is worth anything, they do need to recognize what's actually going on. Because I can't work with a person who can't see reality. In reality, when you cannot understand reality, that makes you crazy. Okay, I ain't gonna never recommend somebody date a crazy person. You know, if it's a building in front of me and everybody can see the building but you, yeah, you got a problem, and it's a mental problem. And I don't recommend being people who are mentally deficient. I'm gonna say it like that. If you're mentally deficient, I don't want to be with you. Go ahead.
Raj,
Who's it? This is he. Go ahead.
yes, there was a recent study that came out of the UK. I know many of us covered it about women, young women hating young men and how it's not reciprocal, right? And of course that would be the case when you have this intellectualizing of misandry disguised as female empowerment, right? And understand, like, women, especially young women under the age of 30, we're talking about, they consume so much, whether it's content online, whether it's television shows, whether it's music, whether it's articles, whether it's reading that they have to do for class and whatnot. There's so much that informs them that they are the victims of men. They're the victims of elite men who use their resources, their money, their power to rain terror on them. And then they're the victims of everyday men who may not have the same resources and maybe not the same power, but you're still violent. You're still, I'm going somewhere. You're still violent. You're still oppressive if you can be, right? And so there's always this big bad boogeyman of men. And so of course you're going to have this hatred. Then you couple that with this pushing of decenter men. It's always this thing. So you get to Kimberly Crenshaw and what she has been able to do over the past, give or take, 30 years. And we know intersectionality really became a famous word over the past 15 or so years, 20 years. It's because of this. This is like perfect for to elevate and use women as a buffer class between elite white men and everyone else, particularly black men, working class black men. That is what women are right now. Go ahead.
Now, my thing is, I don't know that women were taught that elite men are against them. I don't know if women were taught that. I'm just going to say that. Maybe they were, but I'm kind of unaware of that. Now, I'm going to say, when I first heard of the concept of intersectionality, it sounded stupid. I looked into intersectionality. It sounded dumb. I revisited intersectionality. It got dumber again. Heck, I just looked into it yesterday. It got dumber again. I looked into it this morning. It got dumber again. This ain't never made sense. And my thing is, we got to act like stuff that don't make sense don't actually make sense. Because again, it's built on the concept.
Why is it dumb? Why is it dumb?
Because if I go by the tenets if I go by the system that they present, as soon as you insert black men into it, it doesn't make sense anymore.
I think dangerous is the better word to describe it, because you essentially offer a subcategory of women. Go ahead, Uru.
Here's how I would refine your position on it. The biggest problem with intersectionality is it applies no quantitative value to these so-called discrete oppression factors. So let's say being a woman is this particular oppression factor, being black is this particular oppression factor, but then is magnified. If you were going to do this intersectionality, you would create some actual quantifiable oppression factors and then say what these factors would be based on race, based on gender, based on sexuality, based on, and you could presumably use sociological phenomenon, historical phenomenon, economic phenomenon to support the basis of those quantifiable factors. My biggest issue with intersectionality is not its existence, it's its intellectual dishonesty. Because if this was any other scientific endeavor, particularly done by white men, ironically, you bet your ass there would be some quantifiable factors associated with these oppression markers. And so then you can look and say, well, yeah, being a black woman carries the equivalent of 100% oppression factors, but clearly history and economics and employment say being a black man carries 200%. If you were actually going to do an honest intersectionality analysis and phenomenon, that's what you would do. But they conveniently leave the quantifiable out of it. So it's intellectually dishonest.
Well, and I believe the reason they leave it out is simply because it wouldn't work. Let's just take, for example, y'all, We got 2 American men. Okay, they both black. Now, what's one guy experience being black versus the other guy experience being black, but he's gay? Now, they say LGBT is something that's, that they are against. I don't see black LGBT men run into problems. You got to do a lot as an LGBT man to run into a problem. I see them being prompted up. Heck, I see a whole campaign trying to convince straight men to be gay men. So it would make sense. No matter how you use this system, it's never going to pan out correctly because there's always too much nonsense in it once you involve a black man.
But to be fair, historically, and I'll go back to the model of quantifiable. To be fair, historically, if you run that analysis in 1965, you got some whole different shit happen. And it probably is much more difficult to be a black man, a gay black man in 1965. So again, that's where you have to be earnest about what is the actual socio-economic phenomenon associated with whatever you are, and it's going to vary and change over time. So being a woman today, for example, in terms of employability, is very different than 40 or 50 years ago. But when you avoid quantifying things and associating things with the actual reality that people are living, and you just say, well, being a woman and being a man and being white or being black means this and that and the other, without tying any real substance, any empirical evidence associated with any of those demographic criteria, then again, you're being intellectually dishonest. And here's the thing: white people know this is a fraud. Especially the smarter white people know that this is a fraud. And if you had more black men in academia during the time, this would have gotten interdicted. But it's not a coincidence that 80% of all of the 75 or 80% of all the teaching faculty at colleges and universities right now, the black teaching faculties and universities are black females. That's not a coincidence. That's how you perpetuate this kind of lie.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna just say real quickly, I don't think there's any time in American history that you could use this theory and make it work. I don't think there's any time.
There was a study done. One of the founders of the ADOS movement, the woman, she actually made reference to it, and we already know what her sexual orientation is. But she even made reference to a professor that did the research that you and Blackwood were speaking about, coming from Florida Gulf Coast University. Excuse me. And he did find actually the reverse of what these people are saying. It is what we're saying, which is if you were a LGBTQ person, so if you indicated on college application that you were in organizations in high school concerning sexuality in that way, you actually got ranked higher. So it is what we're saying in this space, because what the issue is that, and why they don't want to do research on social dominance order is because, like you said earlier, Raj, it destroys the whole argument. The issue that no one wants to speak about is who do elite white men see as threats? Point blank, period. Who's the threat?
Let me say this, y'all. Let's not assume research ain't been done. It's just the numbers don't work.
It's not being presented.
Well, no, the numbers don't work. That's why they're not presenting them.
I'm agreeing with you, Roger.
All the social science is there. Yeah. All the social science is there. It's just not being applied in this particular, phenomenon. But all the social science is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's willful ignorance. It's willful ignorance, and it's pretense that the facts that speak against it don't exist. That's just what it is. It's a typical womanese rhetoric when it comes to men, and it's being quantified. Or it's not even being quantified. It's just being presented by somebody with all these prestigious accolades and awards. Yep. But it's 100% dishonest.
I just pulled a research article dealing with the quantitativeness of intersectionality, and I'm going to share a quote from it in the conclusion. Okay, intersectionality is frequently misunderstood when bridging theory into quantitative methodology. Further work is required to one, ensure researchers understand key features that define quantitative intersectionality analysis, and two, improve reporting practices for intersectionality analysis, and three, develop and adapt quantitative methods. So, in so many words, what I'm reading here is that they are still trying to find some way to make this quantitative. They're trying to find some method by which they can actually make this make sense, and
They're
they're
not
failing
trying to
to do
find it.
so.
They're not trying to find a damn
And
thing.
it,
Intersexuality exists. This has existed for. Hold on now. As a concept has existed for over 40 years. Ain't nobody trying to find nothing. If they were trying to find something, they'd have found it in
I get you.
3
I get you.
generations.
Hey, I get you. But apparently
What
they're trying to find some way to make this make sense still to this day.
Well,
what I would
I
say to
was
that is go ahead, I'll talk about it.
no. Go ahead. You go ahead.
So what we don't I don't know if anybody mentioned this earlier, maybe I wasn't listening. Class. Class.
No,
You
you
know,
right.
there's
You right.
a
Let me
female
go ahead.
content creator.
Hold on.
Oh,
You
there's
right.
a
Let me go
okay,
ahead
go
first.
ahead.
'Cause I was gonna say
Okay.
something short and sweet. There'll always be somebody still looking. Let's acknowledge that. There'll always be somebody still looking. Because you always got a new person. Somebody just became 18 every day. So there'll always be a new person looking, but they've already done enough research to know that this don't make no sense. That therefore research won't be presented with it. Because I get it. The new person gonna look,
No,
the young
but
one.
sometimes they will report they're trying to do something to distract you from the fact that they don't want to do the shit. So they'll say we're trying to endeavor into, we're still looking into. You guys have heard it. We're still looking at your employment application or your resume that they tossed in the garbage can the moment
Weeks ago. Weeks
you
ago.
walked out of the office. I mean,
Yeah.
so you can't. I mean, you can't believe that kind of shit. And like I say, if you ain't came up with nothing in 40 years of this phenomenon existing, you ain't trying to do shit.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't say I believe the shit.
Right.
All right,
And I
cool.
wanted to
Well,
yeah, I wanted to
before you go,
okay,
Mr.
okay.
Z, shout out to Bruce Owen. He said TikTok, Roger. Hashtag all my hoes the monetize. Hey, brother, we know what time it is. We know what time it is, my brother. We know what time it is. Let me see real quick. Jade is saying something. He says, to Roger, what if you don't understand white supremacy / racism, what is and how it works, everything else that you do understand will only confuse you. Nearly Fuller, what Neely Fuller Jr. system confused Negroes. And I'm gonna say that does hold true, and that's why I'm bringing a light to this particular subject today, because it's nonsense at the end of the day. But no one wants to come out and say that it's nonsense. But it's okay. Roger said it. Roger don't mind calling it nonsense when that's exactly what it is. I don't mind saying it at all. Okay. A shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast. He says neither Hooks nor Crenshaw are sociologists, just PhD propagandists. Beware of the PhD halo effect from excellent storytellers. And I'm gonna say yes, y'all. That's why critical thinking always needs to be in play. One of the best things I ever was taught was about putting your thinking cap on. Y'all gonna hear me say it from time to time over here. Put your thinking cap on. Meaning it's still okay for us to critically think about what's going on. And I'm gonna say this too. I noticed this as I was doing the show. We had 144 people watching. I literally say every time I ask somebody to show me what I get, because I am black, but I'm a male. And y'all say males get something because the intersectionality is supposed to present me with some form of reward because I am male. What is the reward that I get? When I asked that, I saw the numbers immediately drop down from 144 to 126. They don't want to deal. People
Well, look,
don't even want to deal with the
I think
question.
I think Inspired Truth made a very important point that needs to be emphasized. that neither these two giants of feminism and intersectionality, these two titans, female titans of these powerful phenomenon, neither of which hold a sociology degree, a fundamental academic criteria for asserting this kind of work. That's a profound statement. And here's the thing, when you're a sociologist, what must you do to get a PhD in sociology? You must do peer-reviewed work, which means you must do research, you must do countless reading, countless writing, revision, publication, and then what you do must be presented to a panel of review and critique of your work. So you have these titans of feminism who have created and asserted theories that have moved mountains amongst Black women and Black people overall. And they don't possess the basic academic criteria for doing so. That's a profound statement that cannot be overemphasized.
And I want to
Can I add to that?
I want to say in layman's terms, real quick, y'all. If you didn't get what he said, at some particular point, you got to actually prove your point. That's what he's saying. At some moment, you got to actually prove your point. Go ahead, Mr. Z.
Unless you're.
Go ahead.
I think he was going to say.
Go ahead, Black Uru.
I think we lost him.
I was just emphasizing the point of unless you are a Black feminist. Yeah.
That sound about right. Right.
And I wanted to also add to what Inspired Truth was saying by saying, never forget Bell Hooks never cited her sources. She didn't have to. Not for the agenda, right? Never forget that. That's number one. Number two, I wanted to emphasize the class element of it all. Excuse me. We've had content creators. One of them uses part of her moniker is Harriet, so y'all know who I'm talking about. All right. Who, because of their class position, they grew up upper middle class concerning Black people, attended an Ivy League school, and yet that person and her ilk will tell you that they are more oppressed than me as a first generation immigrant because I'm Black and I'm a man. Because I'm a man. And so because she's a woman, somehow she's more oppressed than me, or I have better opportunity. You see what I'm saying? So what intersectionality doesn't do concerning Black men is factor in class also. And it's just part of the stew, right? I agree with Raj and I agree with Black Uru. It wasn't never meant to actually factor these things in, that, right? That's part of the game. But I definitely want to emphasize the class element of it all, because what you're having are folks that are playing, they're speaking intersectionality, they're speaking feminism, they're speaking female empowerment, but really it's a class game they're engaging in with elites even higher than them. It has nothing to do with bringing up marginalized groups. As a matter of fact, I can't remember, some study was done maybe a couple years ago that showed that some 80% of these Ivy League schools, it's from the top 20% of folks. Pretty much it's the top 20% of folks that are graduating with their university degree and 25% of folks that are graduating with university degrees that are notable and going on to live happy lives. Like, that's a whole class game. You know, if they really want to mean intersectionality, we know they don't, then why don't this factor in? Go ahead.
Not only is class important, but according to the Brookings Institute, class is more beneficial to Black women than it is Black men.
That's a fact. No, that's true.
If you recall, per the Brookings Institute, if you are a upper middle or an upper class Black woman, you will continue to be a upper middle class or an upper class Black woman. But if you come from a upper middle or an upper class Black family as a Black male, you're much more likely to drop socioeconomically.
That's a fact.
So not only is class a factor, but it's a much more beneficial factor for Black females.
By the way, real quick, Ross.
Because
I wanted to do the numbers. Go ahead.
Well, before you do the numbers, I'm gonna say, yeah, it sounds like class it means something when you're a woman. Don't sound like class means much when you're a man.
Yep,
You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, so no, that's a female class issue. And I'm gonna say you could be a man who's been married the whole time, been by your wife's side through thick and thin, and on national television, she would call herself a single mother. I don't know. For all you people that are into class, I don't know what
she's from
greater
Youngtown,
class. I just don't know how you can surpass class when you are president of the United States of America in 20. Well, what
Twice
when
elected.
2020?
Twice elected.
Yeah, 2020. Well, he was technically was 2009 to.
Yeah, no, she said that early. She said that in like 2010 type thing. 20,
Well, I'm saying he was
2009. Yeah.
He was president from 20 because he was elected 2008.
09, I think.
So you take
is when
office in 09. So and he had 8 years in office, so that put him there to about 2017. And he got some money. I remember the $60 million book deal. Just not to mention a presidential salary and you know all the other stuff he was doing. He was a constitutional professor. He got a little money. You know what I'm saying? And even she said, "I'm a single mama." And that dude was there the entire time. No separation. No, I'm out the country for a long period. He was there the whole time. I don't know how you can get to a higher class and be rich and be president.
And that book that about his father or whatever, he said this. That book paid off both his and her Ivy League student loan.
Yep.
That book paid off her Princeton and her Harvard student loan. His book.
And look at the thing
they said that.
Y'all ain't gonna take away from the fact that she had it harder than him, and she was able to look over at Laura Bush and say, "Me too." That's how it don't matter what position they're in. They're always gonna look at a man and say, "I had it harder than him."
She didn't. Unfortunately, she didn't get over the run over. She wasn't able to run over her ex-boyfriend at a stop sign. So. Laura did.
Shout out, and kill him. Yeah. Delete him better yet. Delete him. Yeah.
Oh man.
Hey, you know, and Anne still become first lady, and nobody bring it up. I dare you. Anyways.
And let me just say real quick before you go, Mr. Lee. Well, let me say real quick too, and then after Mr. Lee, I got to get Shark in because he didn't came up. Yeah, you know, it's when you look into a problematic topic, you know, and you get confirmation that a black woman is behind it. It's sad that you can't even be surprised. You know what I'm saying? It's sad. Why am I saying it's sad? Because there's so many problematic things, and you dig into them to see what's there for real, not just what people telling you. You see what's there for real, and then you're gonna see a sister right there who supposedly love and appreciate you and think you're great and all that other type of stuff they gonna say, and she right there either helping assist in drastically in the problem or creating a new problem herself. Which, again, this is just another story that did that. I go through all this stuff just to find out the person who came up with the nonsense. Boom, another sister sitting right there on national television. But go ahead, and then after Mr. D, I need to get Shark in here.
Yeah, so I wanted to say, the Brookings Institute research last time I checked, or from what I remember, that Black Mirror was making reference to, I think it was like 70% of those young men come back down in class, right? So out of 100%, I think it was like 70%, so 30% stay in that class, in those elite classes. Number one. Number two, it wasn't concerning rich. The other brother, that was the founder of ADOS, he actually, because I think you know a couple of people from Brookings Institute. To give him the right information, because he was like, ain't no rich black people like that for you to, it's so infinitesimal, you not pulling no real number. So it had to be upper classes, as Black Ur was emphasizing. It wasn't even rich. We're talking about upper middle class here. right? And there is a difference between upper middle class and rich, right? So I just wanted to make sure that we emphasize that it's like something like 70% of those young men come back down in class, and it wasn't even rich; it was upper middle class, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll pause right there.
All right, well, let's get it for Shark. Yeah. Shark, you got it, my brother.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
How you doing?
What's
Can't complain, really. Let me get it out right here, John. Yeah, my fault, yo. Honestly, what Uber was saying earlier is real loud because that it is real. B intersectionality is real. The program that lady showed was very disingenuous. Black women were double negative. As long as you are a woman, you're never negative. You're never double negative because you got a vagina. So sorry about that. That keeps you valuable in itself. Now, black men, heterosexual black men, we got 300% negative because you're heterosexual, you're a man, and you black. You know what I mean? And for the record, homosexual black men are above heterosexual black men. So that whole list was just a bunch of malarkey, if you ask me. Well, not even if you ask me. If you just look around at society, that'll tell you that was all some BS. You know what I mean? We are where the black woman had black women at. And I'll leave it there. But Roger, it's real. It's real. Don't get it twisted. And Barack Obama, for the record, he's above us because he's black. He's homosexual, so he's above us.
I wouldn't say all that. I wouldn't say all that.
And he has split. The sea do split when Barack Obama comes in.
Look.
I ain't saying all that.
Hey.
Am I not doing my 2 minutes?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, this is your 2 minutes, but I'm say everybody chill. Everybody chill. But Barack Obama has not confirmed that he is LGBT. Okay, he's not confirmed. I'm just throwing that out there. All right, go ahead.
Titanic went down in 2 minutes.
I will say this too. Something that doesn't factor in.
We was at that dude do his 2 minutes. You just gonna go right.
Wasn't it done? I thought he was done.
Nah, y'all went all y'all put your feet all on my rug, but it's cool.
Okay. All right, but
well, just to make Mrs. E wait, Leon then came up, so now I'm giving the floor to Leon. Okay, and this was strategically just to make Mrs. E wait. Okay. What's up, Leon? How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm off work. I was about to take my boys to their grandma's house, and I found out my son had swimming lessons today at 3, and I was like, I'm not gonna have time to do shit, so I'm gonna keep the boys today. But it was about maybe 4 years ago. I sent Mr. Z a video of black women claiming to be non-binary, but are queer. And I said, Z, don't focus on the part that they're saying they're queer or non-binary. Focus on the reason they're making the argument. And what we both saw. Hey, Dad, you go pee-pee? Okay, go pee-pee. Yeah. What they saw was they were comparing their experience to white women and saying, I never got the opportunity to experience this form of femininity or womanhood. And my experience is basically queerness or being non-binary. And when you actually listen to their argument, why they were saying it, because they saw that LGBT white people were getting positions over them on top of needing that extra check mark. So that's why me and Z were saying women are identifying for a check mark. It's not a real thing. They're doing it for another check mark.
Ding ding.
And people, we showed the video, but most people were just like, I'm like, no, they're not doing it for the reason you're thinking about. Listen to what they're saying. She's saying it, but comparing her womanhood to another woman's and saying, I don't meet that criteria and I have to do this, so I'm living a non-binary lifestyle. It's not real. It was for a check mark. That's
Well,
why you had that major increase
I'll
in.
You know, a couple of months ago, Raj, not even a couple of last year, real quick, but I'm gonna 30 seconds back. Last year, I reviewed a LGBTQ PhD sister, and she kept on emphasizing. She didn't say supposed, but it was like she was saying supposed man, supposed woman type thing concerning men and women. Going to what Leon's saying, it's this. Well, we're not white, so you can't really claim woman, right? And there, it's this old etymology of like, what does womanhood actually mean in Western society? And it's not just XX chromosome, right? It's not this. It's not synonymous with female as we're saying. It is actually a performance, and the only person that can actually perform womanhood in context is white women, and the only one that can actually perform manhood in context is white men. And if you really want to emphasize it, elite white men and elite white women. All the rest of us are cosplaying it, especially those of us black people, right? So going to what Leon is saying, so much of what they're trying to do with intersectionality is dig all the way down and then pop up on the other end in China, right? If you dig far enough, then you'll be back up top, in other words, right? So that's what they're using. Like I said, flipping the hierarchy upside down. And I'll pause right there.
That was well put. See, the way you put that, I could definitely dig it. No pun intended. That was ill.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say it's basically nonsense. Okay, and they're using a framed nonsense to become to try to be accepted by a whole other group of people, which ain't black men at the end of the day. Because again, once you put the concept to the test, it don't work as soon as you add black men into it. Yeah, now they can make these claims, well, you a man, so therefore you get this. But as soon as you say you a black man, it's a whole different story automatically. And when it comes to whatever you want to say, living your life, who's going to be bothered more than black men? No one. Okay. Getting a job, who's going to be discriminated against more than black men? No one. Okay. Getting attacked by the police, who's going to get attacked more than black men? No one. None of it holds true once you put black men into it. None of it.
Yeah, I
And
don't
at any class
think it's
level.
structural. I don't ever think it's
If I
structural.
had the time and the youth, if I had the time and the youth and the energy, I would redo intersectionality, and I would include quantifiable depression criteria in it. And I would base it on everything you just said, Roger. And I would win the intersectionality war on that basis. If I had the time and energy and motivation to do it.
Yeah. The only problem is they're going to do everything they can to make sure you don't get it out to too many people. That's going to be the only problem.
I think it really puts
they might kill me before I
the,
publish it, so I'll probably have to pass it on to one of you other guys.
but it really puts the emphasis on.
We know they're killing scientists now. We know they're killing scientists now, and that ain't even an actual joke now. Yeah.
Shouldn't intersectionality, shouldn't that just benefit the trans black man more than anybody, right? Because it seems to put the emphasis on the minority group that you are versus the actual oppression that you face, right? So wouldn't the trans black male be the champion of intersectionality and not even black women?
I mean, I guess technically you can definitely make a very legitimate argument for that, but it's not that many trans black men there in the first place. But I will say this: if you are male and LGBT, you definitely get advantages in the American life. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. People presume stuff about you in a positive way when you're a black man and LGBT. And
That's
let's
how
keep
you
it
become
real.
president, Roger. That's how you become
And
president.
and
You never
and
I
and
want to
and, and
thank you.
and you are not a sexual threat to white men. You're not a threat to the sexual dominant threat of white men. That's really along with whether you could become an economic threat. Really, economic threat sexual threat. Those are the two main issues. Those are the
Can I
two
speak to that,
primary
Uru?
vectors of power over and above everything else that they're concerned about. The
Yeah.
economics give you power and leverage, and your phallus dictates who is born and who's not born.
I want to speak to that, Uru, before I forget my point, man. You make an excellent point when you talk about just not being a sexual threat to the white man. Little Richard, do y'all know why he put on that whole flamboyant act to begin with? Little Richard put on that entire flamboyant act because when he was traveling in his early days for shows, the white neighborhoods didn't want him because they were afraid that he would take all their women. And so, in order to be paid to play shows, he put on a flamboyant act just to make them feel unthreatened by him so that he could make money playing shows in their neighborhood.
And he
He
ain't the
sure
only.
played a convincing part.
Yeah,
What?
because he forgot to take the act
and
off
and and
afterwards.
and,
Hold
and,
on.
and that was a
But that's
response
where it
in
started.
what and that was a response to what was happening to Chuck Berry, because all those white girls were running after Chuck Berry, and they were locking Chuck Berry up because all those white girls were running after Chuck Berry. That's why Little Richard wore that disguise, because of what was happening to Chuck
Hmm.
Berry.
And I'm gonna say, y'all, and I ain't gonna throw no names out there, but there's many brothers who've done the same thing. They present themselves um they present themselves closer to LGBT. I'll just say it like that, closer to LGBT, so they can operate and do the things that they need to get done. He ain't the only one to do it. He ain't the first one. He ain't gonna be the last one. So, speaking on Little Richard, he ain't the first, nor will he be the last. You know, and why do men do stuff like that? Because in order to get ahead, and you're black, it's like, okay, well, in order for me to get this or be able to position myself to do this, I need to present myself as a gay man. Now you don't do that unless you got an advantage, and by doing that, see, you see what I'm saying? So there is no male advantage. Now you can say there's an LGBT advantage, but there's no male advantage because when you black and male, this again the system don't work, and that's why. And I'm gonna say the numbers, they'll never have numbers because there's no time in history that you can quantify any of this stuff, and the numbers gonna work. And if there were a time in history where this stuff would have worked, they would have presented it as proof of their argument. So it's not just talking. People use whatever they can to help their argument out. They couldn't come up with anything to help their argument out. So
Exactly.
intersectionality has been nonsense from Jump Street. Okay, before
Well,
she even gave it a
again,
term.
the issue
Go
if
ahead.
if the conclusion of intersectionality must say that black women are the lowest of the low, then I agree. But I don't think intersect and I think if it was an earnest depiction of the actual, you know, demographic determination of people's lives, if it was an honest depiction of the demographic determination of people's lives, I think it could have actually been a valuable tool. But the problem is, it started with a conclusion, and then a false conclusion, and then it was erected on the basis of that false conclusion. If it actually started from, let's do the actual work, let's see how things actually compare between being a black man, black woman, white man, white woman, Asian man, Asian woman, and take in consideration employment and education and morbidity and mortality, I think you could have a valuable tool. But that was not the objective of intersectionality. The objective was, I'm a black woman. Everybody's supposed to feel sorry for me, and I'm going to create this apparatus on that basis. That's the problem with
Well, I think had you used it properly, as you suggested, it would have did something to use it properly. Then number one is not going to be pushed because it don't help with the agenda of the country. Because this is a white supremacist country at the end of the day. She don't get to go on TV. You know what I'm saying? She don't get to talk to big wigs and things like that. She don't get famous. So why do something that's fair? You know,
it. Yeah. Well, no,
people know what their game is.
obviously she herself would have not been motivated to do that. Obviously, she herself would not have been motivated to do.
As long as everybody coming to a false conclusion, she good with being the star. But if we start doing, if real research is presented with the things she says, I'm pretty sure she'll just fade to the background.
Yeah, and she said something about her father and her mother being together, having a good relationship, and them talking about these kind of things at the dinner table all the time. I doubt that her father was anything close to what she was saying. I really do. And I beg the question of, what does her father think about what she's putting forth? Was he alive when she started pushing this forth, or what is his perspective?
That particular generation, the black boomer went, well, maybe even the silent gen. I can't really speak too adequately on the greatest gen. I'm not that old, but from what I've seen is every generation of black women from silent gen on down, and then intensified to degree, they all were lying on their daddies. They all were lying on their daddies.
They
all were lying on their daddies. Haven't you all observed that phenomenon?
I've definitely seen it, and I'm
so no, it don't surprise me at all that she would tell some story about having some conversation with her father, and then if you had actually known her father or whatever, if someone knew her father, they probably say, I knew that man. That man was my brother. He didn't support this bullshit she doing. I guarantee you, if you could dug up an uncle, a brother of his, or somebody, a friend of his, I guarantee you he wasn't back in this bullshit that Kimberly put together.
Well, see, this is the thing that people want you to do when it comes to conversations like this. It's a very slick way to do because people don't put much thought into it. Now, let's use, for example, Oscar Robertson and Michael Jordan. Okay, I grew up, I saw Mike play. I'm talking about how great he is. Now, let's say my daddy saw Oscar Robertson play. My daddy believed, and I'm not saying any of this is true because we never had this conversation, but let's just say my daddy's saying that Oscar Robertson was a better player than Michael Jordan because he saw them both and he giving me his different angles on what's going on. Now, down the road somewhere, 20 years down the road, I could be on Sports Center talking about, how me and my father had conversations about how Oscar Robertson and Michael Jordan played together. And I'm coming to them with my conclusion that Michael Jordan was far better than Oscar Robertson. Now, all I said was I had conversations with me and my dad. I never said my dad agreed with. He was pro Oscar Robertson the whole time, but we did actually have a conversation. So I'm not lying. I'm just not telling you my father's point of view. So she did that. She said, me and my father talked. You never told me your father's point of view, though. A lot of people assume that because somebody mentions a person that they had the same point of view. That is a lie that people have been doing, especially in politics, for a long time.
And one of the biggest lies that black women in particular, women in general, I won't just limit it to black women, but we are talking about black women. One of the biggest forms of lies that black women tell are lies of omission. Of things not said, things inferred or implied, where there's a reference, as Roger said, there's a reference to something, but there's no actual specific designation of support or refute or whatever of a point. That's a very frequently used intellectual stratagem of them, and that is to lie by what they don't say and then allow you to infer, within the context of everything else they presented, you then draw an inference that they want you to draw.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say myself personally, what I would usually do when people put something out there for me to make an assumption on, I'm gonna usually deliberately assume the negative position of your position. Whatever the position you're taking is, and you put something out there and you leave it up to assumption, I'm going to take that assumption and put it anti whatever your position is. Why? Because I'm gonna force you to come out and either lie or drop the point. That's what I'm gonna do. You don't leave it up to assumption for me, because I can assume anything I want to. And it's your fault because you left it up to assumption. That's how I do that. Now I know people say, you're not supposed to make assumptions because the way it's gonna make you look. No. Assumptions I made on a regular basis. When you get up in the morning, get dressed, you assume your job is gonna be there. It ain't gonna necessarily be there, but you assume it. A lot of folks have assumed they was about to go to work and clock in for 8+ hours, and guess what they was told? You don't work here anymore. So we assume on a regular basis. So my thing is, just because you assume something does not mean you have to assume the positive position for your opponent. I don't understand why you would do that, because it don't help you. So I don't assume the positive position. I assume the negative position for them. I assume the positive position for me, because you left it up to assumption. It is what it is. Okay. So now you're going to have to get into that lie for real, or you're going to have to just admit to what the truth is. Don't make me no difference either way. We gonna do what we got to do. So I'm gonna say again, when it comes to intersectionality, because I've talked to many people about this stuff, and there's a reason I tell y'all the women who are like fresh from college around, or college age, or fresh from college, like that 25 and under crowd, they be the worst ones. So I know this stuff is being pushed heavily in college, not because I'm in college with them, because I look at the ages of the people who get the most pushback. It'd be that 18 to 25-year-old crowd. Okay. Now there's other people who give a pushback, and they're more professors and things like that. They're older like that. They can't tell me how intersectionality works either, because I asked them too. So I'm not afraid to ask anybody what I want to know when they make an argument against something I'm saying. If you're gonna make me come off my position, give me a reason to come off of it. And they ain't got none. Because I say, well, what about when you enter black men? How does this make sense when you talk about black men? You say, there's all these advantages because you are a man. Please give me one advantage a black man gets in America. And again, no one can tell me, which means it don't work. Your theory just fell apart.
Well, another thing that your Kimberly Crenshaws do, and their protected position in this world affords them is that you'll never see them as a part of any sort of real sophisticated debate. You never see them in any sort of sophisticated debating format. You never see them on any panels where the intersectionality and the criteria they imply within it is being challenged in any way. You'll never see them on a panel with a Dr. Tiason Johnson or Dr. Tommy Curry debating this. Not ever. So part of what empowers them is the system that protects them, that puts them in this protective bubble. The white people certainly are not motivated to challenge their theories or whatever, because their theories help to achieve their ends. So they're not going to get the challenges from non-black people. The only people who would challenge them would be enlightened, educated black men, and they're specifically protected from them. So that's why she can go 30, 40 years with this theory and it never suffered any major disruption or challenge, because she's never put in a position where she ever have to confront a real challenge.
Exactly. And the challenge is very easy, because all you got to do is say, show me how this theory works with the inclusion of black men. That's a very simple thing. It don't take a genius to come up with that. Okay? It don't take a genius, y'all. So it's a literal nonsense theory.
Yeah, because then once you get on that panel, Tommy Curry, the wizard he is, in very illustrious and very rapid fashion, is going to throw out probably several dozen, if not 100 or so, statistics refuting, intersectionality. He's going to be throwing out labor statistics and education statistics and incarceration, and she's going to be overwhelmed by that. She's going to be obliterated by that. So you're never going to have her on the same panel with someone like him.
Yeah. And if it's anybody else, they're going to say you being mean to her.
If you did that, you're kind of, that's intersectionality right there.
Their own propaganda speaks against intersectionality. Black women often say they're the most educated. Well, if you're the most educated, how did you get discriminated against? They often say they make more money than black men. So if you believe you're making more money than black men, then how are you being the most discriminated against? They're saying that they've started the most businesses recently and all this other kind of stuff. So if all that stuff you're saying is true, how does intersectionality work for you?
Because it sounds like you're working pretty good. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Which one is it?
which lies do we tell? The lies do we believe? The lies you told yesterday or the lies you telling today?
The lies you're telling today.
Right. I don't remember the lies I told yesterday. So,
About to keep up with.
You are more discriminated against than black men, yet you hold more degrees than black men. Interesting. Okay. You discriminate against more than black men, but it's far easier for you to get a job than it is for a black man. And that's just crazy work right there. That's just crazy work. You know, you hold more political weight than black men, but you're discriminated against. You got a whole Democratic Party that's trying to get you whatever you want so you can be okay. Ain't ask black men about nothing. That's just very interesting.
When you run into a woman
you
talking
have more
about
voters?
intersectionality, yeah, when you run into one of them talking about intersectionality, right? All you gotta do is pump their head up and get them to talking about themselves as a collective and talking about jobs and money and all this other kind and homes and stuff. They're gonna start bragging on themselves, right? And then while they're in the midst of it, you run them right back into intersectionality. But you just got done telling me watch their head implode right in front of your face.
Exactly, Reset.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking. Because I was saying, like Roger keep like
Well,
saying, "Oh, it don't exist." Hello.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Shark trying to say something.
What they're going to do is try to give you some kind of little fake Viltrumite argument that they so mighty and so powerful and so illustrious that they're able to defeat all humankind to ascend above everybody else. That's the kind of bullshit they're going to start saying.
All right, go ahead, Shark. Go ahead, Shark.
Yeah, what Reset was saying is absolutely right. You got to walk them right into that wall because, like Roger saying, it's not real, but it is real. It's just the version they gave us is to make them be the eternal victim. You know what I mean? Like somehow they're gonna make themselves the victim in it. I don't even think that list was originated like that. They just said, hold up, we gotta switch us with the black man so we could be on the bottom, so we could. I've seen it when she presented. I seen it was accurate until she got there, and I was like, wait.
Well, I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying it just doesn't make sense once you actually put black men in it. Now, I ain't saying,
I got you.
Yeah, she's presenting an argument. I give her that, but I'm just saying your argument fall apart as soon as I look at myself. I ain't got to go far. I'm not saying I got to be as educated or anything. I just look at myself. Heck, I'm a black man. Tell me how that chart works for me. Where my advantage is at. Because you say I'm advantaged. I'm still a man, though. You know, you said men are advantaged. I'm black. Now make it make sense. And they can't. And I keep asking, you know, and
I mean the best available indictment of her intersectionality is that Brookings report that we talked about earlier, because it directly refutes what she's saying. It says that if you are a male, you do less well coming from the same environment. If you're a black male and y'all both come from good, educated households, upper middle class, intact family, from the best situation, or certainly the better situation, you take a boy, you put a boy and girl in that same household, that boy is more likely to fall socioeconomically than that male is. That
the woman
report,
is. Then the
is
woman
a an indictment of woman is. Thank you. Than a woman is. That report, the study, is a direct indictment and a refutation of the validity of intersectionality as it's currently being presented and asserted by Kimberly Crenshaw. It's a direct published rebuttal and refutal of it, refutation of it.
Now I want to say shout out to oh, there we go. I'm trying to add Mr. Z back on. Shout out to Inspired Truth Broadcast. He said ducking the intellectual fade. Well done, Uru. And they gotta duck the fade, y'all, because I'm gonna say, as a man who hasn't studied this nowhere near the way she has, it didn't take me but 2 seconds to see the argument fall apart. Because I'm a man, and I just simply said, well, what's my advantage? It took me 2 seconds. You don't want no smoke from somebody who actually in the field.
Well,
but understand, Dr. Tommy Curry was such a threat to the whole establishment of intersectionality, Kimberly Crenshaw, the whole apparatus of black feminism, particularly at the higher scholastic level. He was such a threat to it that they ran him out of the country. He had to go take a professorship in Scotland. That's how much of a threat he was to the apparatus of black feminism that's championed in particular by this woman and her fallacious theory of intersectionality. That's how strongly. So like when Hassos was talking earlier about, the funding and the support and whatever, that's the extent to which these people, and here's the thing, they could not run Dr. Curry out of the country without the support of white supremacy. They couldn't do that on their own. So what happened? They ran back to Massa and said, Massa, he said something bad about us. You need to punish him. And by punishing him, he had to go take a job outside the country. He had to take his family out of the country. That's how far they'll go.
Yeah.
They call the KKK on you and then push you out the front door to go deal with it.
I wanted to come back because I wanted to say something to what the Great Black Reset was saying earlier about if it's really about intersectionality, then how is it that?
Well, hold on. Before you say it, hey y'all, if you here for the first time and you want to get shows like this on a regular basis, you need to sign up. You need to subscribe to the Roger Report Live. We do this Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Chicago time. Not where you looking from, Chicago time, unless you're in Chicago. 9 a.m. Chicago time, Monday through Friday. So make sure you subscribe to the video and just show up. I promise you, you don't need to wait for no notifications. They probably not coming. Okay, so subscribe to the Roger Report Live. See us at 9 a.m. Chicago time. Okay, you ain't gonna get no better show on social media than this right here. All right, go ahead, Mr. Z.
Roger, don't you never cut that man off while he's trying to quote me. Don't do that. Let that man talk.
Well, he already was misled, so I, just starting off with Great Black, you right. I'm questioning him. All right, but go ahead, Mrs. Z, even though you're in question right now.
Right. No. So what the Great Black Reset was saying earlier, that if it's really about intersectionality, then how is it that black women are hitting these different metrics concerning black men? I would say that's their point. Their point is, I don't get to be a white woman even though I have these degrees. I don't get to be a white woman. Y'all left me here with these bum-ass black men. Shouldn't I be elevated to at least elite black men? Shouldn't that be the argument that every single one of these people are making, including some of the black LGBTQ men groups, is that they don't get to be elite rich white women? All of the women of color using that, and quite frankly, some of the LGBTQ men of color too, is that they don't get to be a why let this white man marry me and elevate me? It's all of that. I promise y'all it's all that. They're too cowardly to admit it. A recent story came out with a content creator white woman who was supposedly leading other women astray She was rah rah rah, don't get married, rah rah rah. I'm about, like it's better to be single and all this stuff. Come to find out, she just been proposed to by some well-to-do white man, and so many women, including black women, are supposedly hurt, and that is the point. It's you can't find me, I quit. It's temper tantrum talk. It's this degree doesn't make me a white woman. Okay, fine. I'm slim. Does that make me a white woman? Okay, I got a perm. Does that make me a white woman? Okay, I'm in a white college group. Does that make me a white woman? Okay, I got a PhD. Does that make me a white woman? Okay, I live in your same zip code. Does that make me a white woman? Okay, I drive a luxury car. Does that, like, what do I have to do to be her? And all these people, that's their argument.
Well, but see,
Right.
that's also one of the greater problems too, because if you're seeking out the validation that you believe white women get, you're willing to do a lot of stuff to black men to get it. That's literally what makes them dangerous.
The Roger Report, I gotta say this. I'm gonna ask these questions. You would already know who I'm talking about by the second question, if even. There's a brother from your town who moved to LA. His mom, from my understanding, taught Africana studies. And when he moved her, you already know where I'm going. I want somebody to say that after I'm done. Please let me finish. He moved her, or at least she got to see certain people in the area that he moved to. Her ass, even though the surgeon told her, man, you're going to die, she took her ass overseas to go get cosmetic surgery and passed. Does anybody know who the hell I'm talking about?
Down the West, R.I.P.
Thank you. That is what happens to these people when they're around them women, bro. All of their minds go to mush. All of them. The Asians, the Latinas, the black women, clearly the black women. All of their minds go. Understand, Kanye mom taught Africana studies. You would have thought that would have insulated her. Absolutely not.
I mean,
she got around them folks for all of 5 seconds and her mind went to mush.
I'm going to say feminism is strongest in college and universities. That's what I can tell. I get around women who went there, even men who went there. Like I said, at age of between 18 and 25, and they've been to any form of college, university. Nah, to me, that's what feminism rules the day. So if she's
I actually agree with you.
that, yes, because she's a professor being exposed to that, now I ain't gonna say that's what did it to her, but it's easy to factor that in. Rest in peace to her. That's it's just a terrible position to be in for a lot of reasons. But the thing is, it's college. It's supposed to be a good thing. We can't say it's a bad thing. It's supposed to be a good thing because it's college, and we're supposed to believe the stuff that we're taught in college or some university.
Raj, can I say something to what you're saying? It's clear to me now. I'm sorry.
I got one more guest that got to get it. No, if you're gonna make it quick, cool.
I'll make it quick. This is the question that we have to. This is a statement and a question that we have to ask ourselves, particularly concerning black women, but quite frankly concerning human beings, including black men. Can you educate yourself out of a feeling? If you feel inadequate, if you feel like you're never going to be that person, white women. If you feel like you're never going to, can you educate yourself? Can we put you in the institutions, and especially if they're racist anyway, so it's only going to reinforce your inferiority complex, but can we educate you out of a feeling of inadequacy? And I would present to everyone with Kanye's mom and with intersectionality and all these things that these people use, you cannot. And I'll pause right there.
It's possible, Mr. Z. I don't think you could do it with the white man's institution, but if you self-educate yourself, you could come out of that I need this and I need that, and I'm never going to feel adequate because I can't get this.
I think Shahrazad Ali tried it. She couldn't do it. So,
you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say if you have properly educated, this wouldn't be a problem for you. But trying to get that through something controlled by white people, you done. But we got. I believe this is. Go ahead, Black Rose. Go ahead.
No, I let the gentleman please or
okay.
Go.
I believe his name is Negro Refused to Leave. I believe that's what the name is saying. You got the mic, my brother. How you doing?
The actual name is Negroes Refuse to Learn the Art of War. And at the end of the day, one of the most important pieces on in the art of war is the spy. And I think black men really need to start really learn that. Like the spy, there's probably 5 spies in the art of war. There's returning spies, there are dead spies, and there's I think flip spies, bro. You got a whole bunch of flip spies and dead spies on your quote unquote team. Well, they're not actually on your team, but they're actually in your community posing as quote unquote members of your team, bro. Once black men understand that you are actually at war and you are behind enemy lines, then their psyche will be reframed to the correct way. For me, I have never had the illusion that I was not at war since the day I was 5 years old. I think some people really just don't understand that. I think for me, I was bathed in that one reality, and I bathed myself in that reality very well. That we are at war with a certain group of individuals, and they will use any and all contexts and all methods to quote unquote win that war. If you're trying to be civil with a uncivilized creep or uncivilized person, they will kill you brutally. Black men necessarily have not or are unwilling to learn that lesson collectively, and you will die from the effects of that. I'm gonna let that be it.
Well, there is something going on where your education, a lot of black people will allow a white education to be first and foremost in their child's mind. I'm gonna say I do believe
indoctrination.
I'm gonna say I do believe one of the greatest things my parents ever did was to let me know that when I go to school to be educated, I will have people who are paid to lie to me tell me stuff, and to be able to make a difference between what the truth is and the answer they want.
Can we take a step back from education for a second? Because somebody mentioned Sherazade Ali earlier, and I think something she said is most critical to addressing what we're talking about in terms of addressing Mr. Z's question. What she said was that black women do not mature past age 14. Don't y'all remember her saying that?
I do.
She did.
So now, if that is true, what is the probability of the vast majority of them growing out of their feelings, Mr. Z? Well, if that's true, what's the probability of that? If you're talking about somebody who never matures past age 14, what's the prospect of them learning, scholastically ascending out of their feelings? What's the probability of that?
Now, before you respond, I want everybody, including the audience members, to think about the average 14-year-old girl you're aware of. Okay? Now, I understand you might know one 14-year-old girl that's very mature. I get that. But think about the average 14-year-old girl you're aware of. Okay? Now, go ahead and say what you're going to say. I just want that to be on people's mind.
I think I should then quote the great and illustrious and intelligent brother who was up here earlier, the nameless protagonist, when he says multiply by 0. So to Black Uru's question, the percentage would be 0 times 0, right? So multiplying by 0. And so the answer is none.
You guys mentioned Kanye's mother. Y'all mentioned Kanye's mother. She had been strictly prohibited by American doctors to get the procedure. That's why she left the country. She had been you're not going to survive this. American doctors told her, you're not going to survive this if you do this. Now, yeah, she was a chair at the English department or whatever at Chicago State University, educated woman. Her ex-husband, Kanye's dad, was a former Black Panther. So these are presumably enlightened, educated, smart people. And she risked all that shit to get the right ass or lips or nose or whatever the hell at what? 50, 60 years old, for Christ's sake?
Man.
Let's pause for the cause, right?
There is no learning. There is no learning out of, there's no scholastic solution to this. There's no educational solution. There's
Trying to
there is
educate the white
none.
supremacy out of people.
You know, and I want to emphasize that. Appreciate what Black Rule just said. Kanye's dad was Black Panther. We know a number of folks who mothers and fathers were Black Panther or some type of affiliated, and yet their mothers blew up them relationships anyway. Number one, number two, and they listen to dad. Number two, number three. Because remember, Kanye said that on an interview. His mom took his ass. So your husband, ex-husband, was a Black Panther. You took Kanye, and even as talented as Kanye is, he weird his mother. But that's a whole different conversation. So this speaks to something. You went from Black Panther. Okay, you wasn't on drugs. You went from Black Panther husband to academic intellectual who on a surgeon's table to passing on a surgeon's table practically. What happened? Okay, this is what I'm asking. Let me just ask the question. Was the whole Black Panther experiment for Black women, I said experiment for a reason, just that? Was it them begging to be included by saying, we'll burn this to the ground if you don't include me, and being her, the white youth? I'm just saying, go ahead.
I do got to put this out to be fair. To my understanding, Kanye West's mother and father were no longer together. So,
yes.
At the end of the day, there are reasons why they are not together. I can't say 100% exactly what those reasons are, but being a Black Panther, maybe it'll have a whole lot to do with it. You know what I'm saying? It possibly has a whole lot to do with it. I ain't gonna say that.
And Kanye only recently said that he learned just recently from his father that his mother willfully and deliberately stole him from his father.
Yep. That's what I was making reference to. Yep.
So what I'm saying is and shout out to Perfect Time, because he said in the chat, if I still see, he said something about there it is. So education can fix a mental illness? No, education cannot fix a mental illness. But what I am gonna say is that how you're educated coming up, because keep in mind, y'all, my parents told me these people was lying to me when I was still a kid. They told me, give the answer to the test that the people want, but understand a truth don't necessarily match the answers. So at the end of the day, I was taught very heavily to be a critical thinker. My parents is telling me stuff that says I could go to school. These are people are supposed to be, these are basically, and think about it from a small child's perspective, y'all. These are people you're not even supposed to challenge. You're supposed to just accept what they say because they're teaching you stuff about the world. My parents told me these people are paid liars. Okay.
There's a reason why I mentioned there's a developmental cap on the women, because you reach a certain point where you have to have a certain level of maturity to discern truth from lies, propaganda from empiricism. You have to mature to be able to do that. Well, if you're capping out at 14, and I'm saying capping out at 14 because implicit in that is, hell, some of them may be capping out at 11, 12, or 13, right? So if you're capping out at 14, you're reaching a ceiling upon which you're able to even develop that level of sophistication in order to be able to make those, to come up with the level of discernment to separate things. See, you can't just stop at 14 and you learn and understand every damn thing you need to know, especially when they claim the brain itself don't stop developing until you're 25. So if you're capping out at 14, you know, and your brain's supposed to be developing at age 25, what kind of functioning person are you really outside of the protectorate of a man and of a system in the society that oversees and provides guideposts for you and that sort of thing? Because that's what you're really looking at. You're looking at a lot of immature people who have things set up for them to exist and subside a certain kind of way, but they're not going to have a level of sophistication and discernment to make real decisions about themselves, and especially about a family and about a community.
All right, now I got to jump in, y'all. There was a question asked about something somebody asked in the audience. I'm not even gonna go back to look at what it is. Somebody knew. All right, y'all. At the Rise Report Live, sometimes there are links in the description that you want to check out before I put links in the description for people to check out before the show starts. Okay, so if you come around 8 a.m., the links will probably already be there. I try to make sure the links are up by 8 a.m. Sometimes it may have to do a little bit after, but I try to get them up by 8 a.m. So things that we're going to talk about or certain references you may understand because of the links. Now, if you're newer here, you ain't gonna catch everything because people gonna talk about stuff that you wasn't around for. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna say yes. If you start maturing around the age 14 years old, which I'm gonna say is reasonable in this particular scenario, because this woman came up with this whole theory, and I got to accept one of two things. Because as soon as you insert black men into her theory falls apart. So either she's extremely stupid, because she's a very educated woman. Well, you can't take that from her. Okay, she's an educated woman. She even teaches. Okay, but she seems not to understand that as soon as you insert black men into this whole intersectionality thing that she's pushing, that it falls apart. Either she too slow to get this, or she already knows and she's a liar. Now you can make your own decision about which one it is.
Put Kimberly aside and focus on the video of that one woman the younger woman who was describing intersexuality. Did that sound like a woman who has the maturity level above 14 years old? Go back and watch that video and hear her description. And tell me if you believe that woman has a level of sophistication above 14 years old.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say I'll put her in because this is how I'm gonna say most black women are interpreting the information. To me, she's a very good example of how most black women are gonna get that information, accept that information, and this is what they're gonna do with the information. And I know that because, again, every time I ask one of these people, how does being a man help a black man in America? No one can give me an answer. None of them. I want to say the people that was in college couldn't give me an answer. They parents sometimes, because I've talked to parents, they couldn't give me an answer. Okay, I've talked to older people who agree with this nonsense. They couldn't give me an answer either. I've even talked to a professor who couldn't give me an answer. Now, I don't think I'm a genius. I just think I know how to learn a couple things here and there. So I would think somebody would be able to give me a legitimate answer if the stuff they were saying works. But go ahead with your question.
All right. My question, I don't really know the question. I guess it's more like it's because it's a statement and a question, I guess, right? I have seen black women come up with the most diabolical plans, right, to take men from their money. I've seen women come up with genius level intellect when it comes to quote unquote effing over a man, right? I've seen women quote unquote come with the most, I literally mean, bro, you would think this woman brains was probably like her IQ score was like 300 or something when it comes to getting other women set up and get other women killed. But then for some reason, I just think black men just don't want to face the reality that some of these folk are just flipped. They white supremacists. They know what they're doing. And the average woman, put it like this, the average woman, it does not have the brain cell of a 14-year-old. They know what they're doing. They just don't care because it's not going to affect them. It's simple. When your life is going, my bad. I'm gonna stop. Go ahead.
No. My thing is, no. I'm actually gonna agree with you. I never take in they don't understand. In order to manipulate the world, you got to have some decent form of understanding about the world that you're attempting to manipulate. And women have gotten a lot of things, and that's why I say things like, if women were discriminated against, what the heck did they ask for that they didn't get? Because it don't sound like, to me, to ask for something that people say yes don't sound like discrimination. Now I get it. People can say, well, long time ago we wasn't allowed to work outside the home. Well, when did you ask for it? Because from what I hear, you didn't ask for it until after The men went to war and y'all started working outside the home. And then y'all asked for it and you got it.
Well,
that don't sound like discrimination.
Can
Roger,
I
can I speak on something?
Usual? Can I address Usual's comment?
Go ahead.
I agree with you, Usual, but don't confuse someone's intellectual capability with their maturity. Those are two different things. You know, you can have a very clever child. You can have a brilliant child, capable. You can have a 12-year-old child that's capable of doing high-level calculus. That don't necessarily mean that's a mature human being. And usually what causes one to become mature are consequences and repercussions. And that don't necessarily have anything to do with your IQ. You know, and see what very often happens with Black women is they can be very gifted. And also a lot of times those women who cooking up those schemes that you're describing, they're getting lots of damn help. And very often they're getting help from women who are smarter than them and older than them. They're in a whole damn coven of women who have girl do this and do that and talk to this person. They can set that shit up. More times than not, they are not doing that shit by themselves. I promise. You know, so don't confuse how smart they appear to be with how mature they are. Those are two different things.
And I'm gonna say
Can I
y'all
touch
cut
upon
it right
this,
there.
Roger,
Cut it right there. Cut it right there. I also gotta say, y'all have to understand this woman who came up with this whole intersectionality nonsense. Y'all don't think it was a bunch of men being paid to help her? A bunch of men is being paid to help her be in a better position so she'll have more credibility than what she should have. She's never proven her case. Not once. She's never proven that case. And everybody
Can I
accepts
talk?
what she's saying as a reality.
Can I talk on a particular subject that?
Well, actually, I'm about to end the show. Why? Because we are 10 minutes past the 3-hour market. For all y'all new people here, it's a 3-hour show. We do a little overtime sometimes. We don't do it every time. So we about to bring this one to a close.
I think you might like it, Roger. It's short.
Leon, because
You
you ain't
sound
been here in a
convincing,
while.
Roger.
Because
You sound convincing, Roger.
Because Leon has not been here for a long period of time. He ain't been here in a while. I'm gonna let Leon say what he want to say, and Leon gonna get the last word. Go ahead, Leon.
This is a form of weaponization and immaturity at the same time, because this idea of what they're, because when I read bell hooks or Kimberly, I'm listening to women talking to white liberal women, and what I find is until Black women's image is not degraded in any form from white writers, and they don't teach their white sons these things about Black women, they're going to continue the same thing. And this connects to ending segregation and assimilation and what they believe those words to mean. That means we are equal. We have access to white boys and they should marry us, but you're still disturbing our image. And I think this should be a topic really, because it proves something about their idea of ending segregation and getting to assimilate into the dominant
Ding, 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 ding,
society
ding.
without you in the subgroup. And yes, it's gonna continue.
Well, I gotta wrap this up, but I'm just gonna say, ain't none of that gonna happen because Black women still need white women, and they love white women, and they're going to protect white women because white women help them get white men. It's that simple at the end of the day. It may be torturous.
No, they do not.
No, they do help them get white men because they bear their children. They become white men. So the Black women will always have to protect white women. It's never gonna not happen.
I might have to articulate it the next show in a different way so you get where I'm coming from.
Well, maybe you can tell us after the show or something, because I'm about to bring this one to a closure. I got to get up out of here, okay? It's been great. It's been real. It's been another great episode of the Roger Report Live. I got a couple more super chats that just came in, so shout out to Urban Reed. He says, more of the story, liars lie, belief is yours. And I'm going to say that's real talk. You know, just because somebody lied to you don't mean it ain't your decision whether you believe them or not. And I do believe in holding people accountable to what they believe. And shout out to Indigo Flow. who's trying it. He say Leon overtime tax. You trying it? You trying it to go flow? I said I had to go though. I did say I had to go. Shout out to Lion Mountain who says just subscribe. Well, Lion Mountain, I doubt you get a notification, but just be here at 9 a.m. Monday through Fridays, and that's when we get down to where we get down over here. Okay, so that's you gonna get a notification, but we gonna be here regardless. Okay. All right. You know what? As dangerous as this might be.
No, back chat. I'm here for the after hours.
Okay, give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Okay. Just had to no cash app that I missed. Okay. And shout out to Emerald Edge. Appreciate you, brother. He say thank you for the show, Roger. Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. We'll be here tomorrow, y'all. 9 a.m. Y'all know what time it is now. We getting up out of here. We going to what we call the round table so we can talk in private. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to the new people here. Make sure y'all subscribe and be here for all the other shows. Check out some of the stuff that we've already done. You're going to find it quite interesting. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.